still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go,
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Sports Report After Dark. I am your host, Seven. My co-host, Dan the Dick Warner, will be with me momentarily. First, I did want to give a special thank you to our sponsor, Gunslinger Soap. Gunslinger Soap, handmade soaps and beard products made without all of the junk to pamper your skin. Go to their website, gunslingersoap.com, and sign up to get 15% off your first order, and always free shipping over $30. That's gunslingersoap.com. There is my host, the fabulous, the brainless, the...
Were we going to get the brain cell graphic in the middle?
You know what?
Work on a brain cell graphic.
We haven't gotten that yet. We need to work on that, though.
Our budget is incredibly low, guys.
It is incredibly low. But we do support paying the people that do things for us.
Absolutely.
Not just our graphic artists, the people that help us with different things, even up to the prostitutes that we get. I mean, we take care of people that take care of us. That's the motto.
In the editor's defense, I mean, the brain cell thing is going to be an intricate work that, is really for nothing other than a joke that we have. So that's fantastic. But I'm going to be super serious about getting it done.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
And this is an After Dark show for a reason. So for those of you that maybe it is your first time, please keep in mind, explicit content, parental advisory is advised. This is not a show for your kids to watch. We get real. Also, for those of you that may be sensitive, go ahead and issue a trigger warning for tonight, as our lead topic is going to be the suspension of Deshaun Watson. That does involve conversations regarding sexual assault, sexual misconduct. Trigger warning, take care of yourself. Your mental health comes first. We love and respect you either way. So, of course, if you have been living under a rock and have not heard, it was announced this morning at the NFLPA, the Browns and Deshaun Watson's camp had come to an agreement on the punishment, ending the disciplinary proceedings with the NFL for the accusations by 25 women of sexual misconduct, these women being massage therapists that were hired to supposedly take care of them, but he allegedly pushed himself on them and was trying to coerce them into performing sexual acts. The NFL came down. The original suspension that was handed down on August 1st by Judge Sue Robinson said that he would miss 6 games. In this ruling, she did list that Watson showed no remorse, that the behaviors were predatory, but that the NFL's past precedents only gave her the ability to go with 6 games. The NFL announced a couple of days later that it was appealing the ruling, as they are allowed to do in the CBA. And as they felt that the lack of financial fine and only 6 games was not a sufficient punishment considering the accusations. The NFL, Roger Goodell, selected former Attorney General Peter C. Harvey to oversee the appeal to consider a stronger sentence before Mr. Harvey could issue his ruling. The NFL and Deshaun Watson and all parties involved came to an agreement of 11-game suspension and a $5 million fine. This will put Deshaun Watson's first game back in week 13 in what will be now an even more interesting matchup against the Houston Texans, his former team. His week, had he only been suspended for 10 weeks, as something that was floated around and discussed, or for the first 10 games is something that was discussed and rumored through multiple channels. That would have put his return as a national TV game where the Browns are facing the Buccaneers and El Jefe himself, Tom Brady.
Right. What a way to go down.
Right.
Right when you come back. Go ahead.
Part of the agreement that was made, and I thought this was interesting. I'm going to show this tweet from the best source to follow on Twitter for anything football related, Adam Schefter. Deshaun Watson has to comply with an eval and treatment recommendations of a third-party behavioral expert to be reinstated. His reinstatement is contingent upon his compliance with the treatment plan. If he doesn't comply, his reinstatement could be delayed, plus further discipline. So I'm not surprised that they did this. Here he is.
I said I would make it.
Yes.
Sexiest man in Pinfall. Mr. Pinfall, Gene, is with us and going to be thrown in. We're kind of just diving in here, Gene, so you're at the perfect time.
We are not worthy.
And this is your first time on After Dark, isn't it?
This is
the first time, yeah.
Yes.
I would have remembered this, Seven.
I was saying, I
remembered this.
I'm pretty sure I would have too, but he does avoid us because of me and the fact that he hates white Americans. But
no, I don't hate white Americans. It's all good. It's just, scheduling.
on that note,
sure. Checks in the mail. I get it.
Mr. Pinfall, with him being offensive on that note, I would like to apologize to all the lobsters watching, because Tony said if you live under a rock, and he did not mean that offensively. Tony lobsters watching. So I like to that's pretty much just what I do, is just apologize for Tony. Things that he says on here.
I mean, it's kind of like reverse, but we'll go with that. Okay, so I'm not surprised that the NFL did this. Because and this is the kind of the first thing I wanted to break down. So one of the reasons the NFL wanted the indefinite suspension is they wanted the ability to make sure to put the stipulations on that he gets evaluated, he gets some help on the mental health side of this issue, which is one of the reasons why we're talking about it. Mm-hmm. In previous situations when players have been placed on an indefinite suspension, we use Josh Gordon as a prime example. Part of his reinstatement was going through rehab, getting treatment for his mental health issues. Mm-hmm. And those were conditions as part of the reinstatement. So I'm not surprised that the NFL did this, but I'm surprised that they were able to do it with only an 11-game suspension. Dan, I'll let you run with this one first. Can you think of any other time with not full season suspension where there were conditions like that on the punishment?
First of all, I mean, the Steelers could have signed him, right? The Steelers would have wanted him. Never mind. Over your head, Tony.
You mean because Ben Roethlisberger's a rapist?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I was saying. No, but
Oh, my mom said, thank you for apologizing for him. I'm exhausted from doing it for 40 years. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right, go ahead, Dan. You said, what do you think?
I'm actually just wondering how that therapy is going to go as far as like, is it, because you would think they would make it pretty hardcore, right? I mean, it's going to have to be intensive stuff, right? And like, that's the best part of it. But then again, I can see it being, he's, Deshaun Watson, he's quarterback star. He just sits in a room and talks to a therapist about nothing for 50 minutes a week. And then they're like, oh, he's absolutely healed. Like, yeah, it's going to be one or the other. Yeah, it's going to be one or the other.
It's going to be like, Mr. Deshaun, let's talk about your feelings.
Yes. He's going to be like, well, I'm a football player, so I don't really know what. Yes, we get it. Okay, and that makes sense.
And Mr. Pinfall, what about you, man? What was your initial thought behind all this?
It's okay. Again, you get guys like this. I just finished watching The Untold Stories there with the buddy who had the fake girlfriend who's now
Manti Te'o. Yeah,
the Manti Te'o story. And you get guys in the league. Like, there's been guys who've made a ruckus in the league, do different shit. But when you do sexual harassment, it's like at this point, you got to start figuring.
There's a line there.
Yeah.
And what happened was Deshaun Watson crossed that line.
Yeah.
In a pretty abrasive fashion, really.
He pole vaulted over that line.
Yes. Yeah. He
Olympic style.
Stiff-armed
without hesitation.
Stiff-armed that line. Just fucking, yeah.
Like Derrick Henry and anybody that tries to tackle him.
He probably should be on the longest yard. That's where he should be.
I mean,
in the quarterback in the movie that replaces Adam Sandler is who, or what's the old guy who played it in the original?
Oh, you mean
Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds. There you go. Yep. Yeah.
So Anthony said NFL's going to test him, have him talk to a female, and see how Watson acts. I get what you're saying, but I think
they're going to let him talk to a female and see how he acts. The dude, it's like, oh yeah, let's see if he doesn't do it again.
She doesn't do good massages though, so he's not going to be into it at all. Like it's got to be a weird thing for him. It's a thing for him. Like we've talked about that on the show. Like it's a weird thing for him, and like that it makes me almost feel some kind of like sympathy for him, just because like I don't think that he's trying to be predatory and shit.
No.
But, like he has to fulfill the sexual. It's a sexual fetish, dude. It's a kink. It's a kink for him. It's a kink for him because it's probably been very, very easy for Deshaun Watson to get females for the most of his entire adult life, correct? So it literally is going to become boring at some point, probably. Like, I'm not saying that I would get bored, but to some dudes, right?
No.
Like,
it's how can I put this? Like, even if you watch the Manti Te'o story, like, I know this doesn't coincide with.
No, you're good. You're good
with this sort of thing, but like, if you look at it and you look at footballers in general or professional sports guys in general, it's not hard for them to have 100,000 women go, ape shit over them just due to the fact that, they're a professional athlete. There are guys that prioritize and go, okay, look, we know there's, what would you call them?
There's real women.
There's real, and then there's, the groupies that, just hang
who
around.
Are still real women, but have absolutely zero intention of ever doing anything good for Deshaun Watson. Let's just say that. Yeah. It's all going to be good for them.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? It happens with actors and whatnot, but you got to prioritize. You got to learn, okay, where the line is and where it isn't, and what's right and what's wrong. And so, if nobody's given him a guide and nobody's guided him along for Deshaun, and nobody's told him, hey, this could blow up in your face if you keep doing said things. If nobody's given him that guidance, here's the slap in the face. Here's the reality, dude. You done messed up. You have to, bring it back.
Mr. Pinfall, you just made like a really good point. That makes me wonder about Dabo Swinney. I've always wondered about Dabo Swinney in the weirdest way. I think he's one of the weirdest dudes I've ever, like, obviously I don't know him personally, but like he interviews and like comes off and stuff that I've seen quite a bit of his, just like interviews and stuff like that, or in backstories about him and stuff like that. everyone's like, he's the nicest guy ever. Like, they're like, he's nicest guy, blah, blah. Like, nobody is that squeaky clean. He is real squeaky clean, like to the point where, like, I'm not saying that Dabo Swinney was like encouraging any of this or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that maybe Dabo Swinney didn't absolutely shut it down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe Dabo Swinney might have maybe dabbled in a little bit of it himself. You know what I'm saying? Might just dabbled in it. Dabbled in it. Honestly. And like, that's, you know, because I understand it. It's like that, dude, that environment. I've been watching Hard Knocks, and that environment, dude, is so masculine that, like, if there is a toxic masculinity thing, like, I can see it a little bit, but like, that's what they have to do. Like, they have to be geared up to kill people, basically. Like, that's all the time. And that's just what they do. But you can see that part of it leaking in to the culture, in fucking Clemson for sure. Probably those are college kids. Like, their priorities are not, they don't really have anything more important than, you know, just banging college girls and being a football player.
Being a football player, living at the frat house, and you know what I mean, doing frat stuff.
Great life, I'm sure. You know, like, it's probably pretty carefree.
But there is, you know, and one of the things that you know, because you raise a valid point, and with behavior like this,
do you mind if I smoke,
Mr. A lot of times, what we see is we see these individuals where they weren't told no. You know, it's that you know, there was that kid down in Texas that got probation for killing somebody while driving drunk because of his affluence, and he never learned.
That's right.
That this was wrong, and so it you know, when we look at people enablers, you know, clearly, as it's been well proven, the Texans enabled this behavior.
Yep.
And something like this doesn't just get to this level without a path of progression.
That's right.
Those motherfuckers all knew about it. Bill O'Brien fucking knew about it every single time that happened, probably.
And I have a theory. I actually have I had a theory today, and part of me hopes it's true, because it would give me the ability to respect Bill O'Brien again.
You knew they were going to boot him.
He knew what was going on.
Not dumb.
And so when he did all of those bad trades and basically put the Texans into the ground for the next decade, he knew that he was going to be gone before all hell broke loose, and he was going to get to sit back in a cushy job as an offensive coordinator at a D2 college, so I think is where he's at now, watching the Texans burn, and nobody is going to even look at him. No, dude, nobody has said anything about Bill O'Brien.
If that's the truth, Bill O'Brien goes from shit to fucking legend.
Exactly.
Legend. He's a fucking legend.
I want to know if that's true.
And he's keeping it in, like, he's keeping the secret. That's the best part.
See,
go ahead.
But yet again, that's also placed into what's the other side of all these stories of these other guys that shows you the other side. There's a human element where, you know, some people knew or was keeping it a secret, or somebody just didn't, you know, guide the player or guide the person in that right direction that he should have went. And that's what makes us human. And then you go, okay, yeah, you know, you feel bad. But if they've done this numerous times and nobody's really told them, hey, you know, this isn't good behavior, and you got to fix this, or, you know, tone it down or whatever, then they are in fault just as much as that other person is in fault, because they knew right off the get-go how this person was going to act. They didn't say shit.
And they let it keep happening is the worst part. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is because with somebody that's an addict, because if you look at this behavior, it's very addictive in nature, especially when you look at some of the stats that have come out about this, like 66 different women over an 18-month period is how many different massage therapists that the Texans ordered for Deshaun Watson. 66 different therapists in an 18-month period.
Dude, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if that's 66, then there's a lot of 3 and 4-somes in there somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have El Jefe of Pinfall himself. Josie is with us.
Looking like a peacock. I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly.
You look like after the Walk of Shame. It's still really early. How have you already done the Walk of Shame? That's my question.
I literally just got home from a 12-hour fucking shift. Fuck you both.
Yes.
Okay, so it is a walk of shame.
You just took everybody's shit all day, and now you're just going to come and take some fucking more of it. Just shovel it
No,
in.
I'm here to give the shit.
Olive Garden.
What the fuck? 11
fucking-
games, and the first game back is going to be against the Texans.
I'm interested in your take on that. The NFL had to have done that intentionally. What do you think?
There's no way he's missing the Brady game, and then the next week he's back for the Texans game. There's no way. 12
The NFL
games
knows what
made
they're fucking
sense.
doing.
Is that called trolling?
12 games made
absolutely
sense.
is, right?
There, every time we talked about it, it was either a full season or 12 games. Every time we talked about it on these shows.
Mhm.
What the fuck sense does 11 game makes? And they want to say, oh, we looked at the average of other and bullshit. They wanted to make sure he was back
The median,
for Browns
Jesse.
versus Texans.
Yep.
And here's the thing. The other thing that's interesting about this. So remember, from week 13 on, the NFL can flex any game it chooses, or almost any game it chooses, into a national game.
So
And now
that's
you
going
have
to
a
end up a
game-
national game.
Absolutely.
That's gonna end up a
It's going to be at
national game.
7:20 on a Sunday night is what it's going to be.
And you know what? I
Beautiful.
hope by some fluke, the fact that the man hasn't, I hope we whoop that ass. I hope we beat the living
Hey.
shit out of
He
him.
looks
Josie,
like dog shit in those 3 drives.
Even more interesting, what if he just comes out and just fucking balls out, like goes just straight, like 19 for 24 for 425 and 4 touchdowns, and then rushes for another one or something, just goes bonkers. People are quiet, like even the home crowd's quiet. Like, yes, how weird would that get? How weird
He
if
does,
he just comes out and
he
just
does
dominates?
that. He does that in that game, and then is shit the rest of the season.
Yeah.
No. What if he just
I mean,
dominates the whole time? He's
the-
just the best quarterback. They make
The
the playoffs. He
Browns
takes
are
them to the Super
not
Bowl.
gonna. The Browns are not gonna be in playoff contention.
No.
And
No.
I think that because if you look at
Hypothetical.
this, and right, hypotheticals, of course,
Yeah.
but like if you look at it with the 6-game suspension, the lighter part of the Browns schedule is that first 6 games.
Yep.
And so, Jacoby Brissett going 3-3 against what they're facing. Plausible.
I would put money right now, 3-3 in the first 6. But then he
3-3 in
loses.
the first 6. And I'm going to say 3-3 because instead of 4-2, because since Carolina has announced that Baker Mayfield is starting that first game,
Mhm.
Baker Mayfield is going to open up a can of whoop ass on the pan.
Baker is going to pull it. What Dick just said for Deshaun versus the Texans is what Baker will do versus the Browns.
That is Baker's Super Bowl, week 1. Baker's Super Bowl, right there.
Bro, that defense is
And
actually kinda
it's even
good.
better at the fact that Cleveland is paying them to whoop that ass.
Dude. Cleveland's defense is pretty good though, for real. Like Myles Garrett and them boys, they're good.
They
And
are
always
good,
have a
but
They're
good
not
consistent
gonna whoop that
defense.
ass.
No.
Yeah, they're yeah. I just don't know. I mean, if you get 2 and 4 out of Jacoby Brissett, that's a win. That's a win. For the
Exactly.
team.
Okay, this is my theory on that. I agree with 7. I think they go 3-3 in the first 6. But then I think he loses all of the second 6. Every single one.
I think in that first 12 games, because or 11 games, because they have their bye week in week 9. I would say if they're lucky, 4-7.
They need to be extremely lucky. I'm thinking more like 3-8.
That roster's pretty terrible, Josie. I'm not gonna lie to you. But
Well, and you said it, Dick. The only thing they have going for them is I would give them a B grade defense. B minus.
Top 10.
yeah, it's
Definitely
not like,
top
defense.
10.
Yeah.
that's one of those
definitely top
teams that could do 4 and 5, or what would it be 5 and 6? Like they
Defensive wise,
Yeah.
they can surprise you, yes, because
Mhm.
they're within that top 10.
They
But
have a
you know,
great secondary.
yeah, but the Browns, we've seen it time and time again. It looks like things are going to go great for them, and then it all goes shit towards the end, and then they never make the playoffs.
Honestly, if I'm the
They're in
Browns,
a wild
and
card, and then they get booted out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
honestly, if I'm the Browns, and I know there's no way in hell they're going to do this. There's no way in hell. If I'm the Browns, I'm thinking about should Deshaun play at all this season? Because
Yes.
one thing you also have to remember in his time with Houston, He missed 2 full seasons for injury. He is kind of on that injury-prone list. And then you throw in the fact that it's almost been 2 years since he's been. By the time he steps in, it'll almost be 2 years. I would say the chances that he gets some kind of injury in those 6 games are like 50-50.
I can see your point, but I'm going to tell you why they're going to have him play.
I know.
And the reason I say they will, and it's not just because they don't want Jacoby Brissett as their starter. But I think it's more because if you look at, because he's not going to take another snap in a preseason game.
Not after he did so badly last week.
And when you have 3 drives, 1 completed pass, that dude is rusty. And this was something that we've all, all the sports guys have talked about. Knew he was going to be rusty.
Yep.
It's been a year.
There's no way he's an actual.
He has not taken a snap in an NFL game since January of 2021.
Yep. But here's the thing. The Browns know that this season is a wash, and they're not paying him shit for this season anyway. And so what you do is you let him run and get all of that rust out and build for next year.
Yeah.
What do you think, Gene?
I would have to agree on that. That's the exact same thing as, like, look at the time when Michael Jordan came back, and when he was with, I'm not talking the Bulls, when he was with the Wizards, he was shit. But
he still averaged 20.
Yeah, but he wasn't the same.
No,
as we've seen. He was
still like one of the best, but he wasn't Mike.
He wasn't one of the best even at that point. Like, Gene, one of the things I remember about that is, like, that last year, like, I had seen him in the 90s and stuff. Like, I'd seen the highlights. I was a huge Jordan fan. And like 2003, I think it was, he tried to go up like baseline. Like, he literally got like a rebound, dude, and got a steal or something. He's wide open for a 2-handed dunk and rejected himself on the rim, dude. And I was like, I was like, that's the last thing we get. Like, come on, man. He clearly just couldn't get, like, he just had to go off 2 feet and just like, he's just older guy, man. He's like, he's like 38, 40 or something like that.
Yeah, it was all, and like I'm saying, it's that whole thing. He had the rust. He'd been sitting for a while. He was just playing for the sense of playing for, like, Vince Carter and guys like that, to give them, like, oh, you've played against the GOAT. You played against.
Absolutely. He was taking a tour basically.
Yeah.
And like yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because, guys, I mean, I hate to point it out, but LeBron James is 38 years old. I'm just going to say it.
Yep.
You have officially said LeBron on every show we've ever done.
Every single show that we've ever done, Braun has been said. We got it out of the way, so we're good. That's 27 minutes in. That's
27 minutes in.
I mean,
we were halfway through the show.
But yes, I forgot what I was talking about with LeBron. But yes, no, that really is. I mean, we saw 38-year-old Jordan, and it's like, oh boy, he's like, but he was taking years off and stuff. Like, LeBron's just going. LeBron wants longevity at this point. He knows that
it's also, and Dan, we've talked about this too. It's also the way that things have changed as far as getting that longevity. We all know LeBron does cryotherapy, and like there's a lot of other. And I'm not trying to give
I know
Jordan any leeway in what he did, because I would say Jordan is one of the greatest. Now, I get Dan's argument, and why I get everyone's argument is why LeBron could possibly. I will not make a rule on that, because I'm not
going to debate that. Let's walk it back. Come on.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm not going to debate that with Dan, no matter what, because I see both sides of the story.
This goes 2.5 hours if that starts, so let's not.
No, but come on, let's work it back.
In the LeBron can go to cryotherapy. He goes to get massaged legally.
He just tells his wife that he's going to fuck another chick, and she has to okay it. That's what I've heard. It's an actual thing.
I mean, I believe that's how all celebrities work, truly.
Absolutely. And LeBron's kept it pretty down low. But
he has in just 20 years.
We're not getting on LeBron.
The way things have changed and Dan, it goes back to why we all agree that some form of steroid use should be allowed. It's already gotten to a point where you can take, instead of it being a week, it's 3 days to recover.
How old is Deshaun
If you
Watson?
were to add
27?
steroids in, instead of 3 days, you're looking at a day, maybe 2.
27 though. He's 27 years old, Deshaun Watson. So, I mean,
at this point, it's you got, and what the Browns are going to look at doing is probably, like Seven said, let him play a year to get himself back into that idea of where he's at, and then they're looking for next season. They're not looking at this season; it's next season.
And I do get that. I do understand that. And if I'm the Browns, I'm doing the same thing. But it's also in the back of my head: is he going to go back there and tear his ACL, or because he has that tendency?
The weird thing with Deshaun though is like he's raw talent. Like he's raw talent, but he actually had the mental side of the game like pretty down. Like that offense was well run. Like he didn't make that decision.
I'm telling you, I've said this on this show thousands of times.
I'm not a huge Deshaun Watson fan either.
Their 2018 run, when everything was clicking, had they not fucked up in the playoffs, they could have easily been in the championship that season because everything was clicking. D-Hop was clicking. Deshaun, like you said, Dan, he had the mental side of it going. JJ and Romeo Crennel had the defense on lock. That one game fucked us. And they were never the same after that. And then Bill O'Brien went on his let's fuck the Texans spree.
But hey,
which is
you
legend
missed
if
this.
Actually did it.
You missed this because I have a theory. I think the reason that Bill O'Brien fucked the Texans is because of what was going on.
You think he knew and that was his way of saying this is not okay?
Yep.
And you can take it as far as
watch the ashes out of it.
And Tony, you can take it as far as like he actually got with those chicks and was like, hey, you were giving him massages, right? And like, even I'm not saying their stories are untrue. What I'm saying is that he might have just been like, hey, just tell those people what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just tell him what he did.
Just if we could,
or had his people do it.
Just to be honest, like if we could look into, the DMs of those women, maybe, that guy was there going, hey, I seen you back there, Texas.
Some guy who just works for the Texans, like he's just in their front. He's like a stat guy. He just is texting all these chicks.
Little boxes. I want to answer this question for the sheer fact. If it were another head coach for the Texans, I may say that this is a possibility. But Lovie Smith does not operate under that mentality.
He does.
I'll let you guys take this before I do it first.
I think, other coaches, I could possibly see it, and it still might be a thing with the defense without his knowledge. But also, after the Bounty Gate and everything, if that were to come out that they were in some way trying to purposely hurt him, it would be worse for the Texans than everything we went through for the last 2 years.
Because you want to hear the truth on that? You want to hear the actual truth? It's not going to be accepted in the locker rooms that Deshaun Watson plays. They're not going to go, hey, we're all hurting Deshaun Watson out loud. But every single one of those players knows what the fuck the deal is. They know all day what the deal is.
It's not going to be like
taking it more personally than other
It's not going to be like Major League Baseball with the Astros where they were literally saying, we're going to peg the shit out of you.
Yeah. But
they're going to just, oh, man, I didn't see it. I just totally blindside the fuck out of him.
If you sack him and you're underneath the pile, just do a fucking alligator roll. Just roll off on it. See if you can get that thing to crack or something like that. That's what they're thinking.
And here's the thing. A lot of these guys, and the reason why I don't think there's going to be, and I'm going to kind of go with what Josie said on this. I don't think there's going to be an edict.
No.
But there's a couple of those guys that are sitting there like, man, we have a hard time now getting a massage in Houston because of this.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think a lot of these guys, and a lot of these guys though, like they understand the importance of massage in their recovery.
Yeah.
And then Seven, you also got to throw in, don't even look at the massages, just the ones that have daughters and are really close to their mothers, or really close to their sister, or really close to a cousin.
Everybody, but
anyone who has any kind of female, like strong female role model in their life could be looking to hurt this man.
Right. And on the massage part, are they really not are people weary about Texans players getting massages? Is that a thing?
No.
It wouldn't surprise me.
That can't why?
Because, well, here's the thing that you have to remember, and this is why I have that theory. The Texans knew about his behavior and continued to enable him.
Yeah.
Now, if this had all come about because the Texans intervened, I think we're having a different thing about that. But and I'm not saying, and I haven't heard anything specific.
No. And there are obviously ignorant people.
But how I mean, when you think about it from a logic standpoint, I wouldn't blame the massage therapists in town being uneasy because is this guy just doing the same thing and it's just not known yet?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and
I could see that.
There needs to be
ignorance a little bit.
Because in the lawsuit that the Texans settled, some of those massages they were setting up for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were coming to him.
Not all of them. Some were set up by his people on their own. But I think something like half of them were set up by the Texans. So that means the credibility of the Texans is out the window. And if I'm a massage therapist in Houston, I'm a little iffy about working with the Texans, period.
Yeah. And that just comes about just due to the fact that it's a reputation thing.
Exactly. It's just a reputation. You settled a lawsuit that basically said we helped this man sexually assault 30 women.
Yeah.
Yes. No, Mr. Pinfall, I like how you say about. It's fantastic. No, hey, here's the thing with me though. So I had a question for you, Mr. Pinfall.
Yeah.
We've talked about it extensively about his how we would imagine that Deshaun Watson probably is psychologically, right? Mm-hmm. And the weirdest part about this whole thing is that it almost seems like it has to be a new girl every time. There's a thing where he needs a new one, right? So he doesn't repeat very often, or he doesn't feel like he needs to repeat very often, which points me towards like sociopathy, because he wants to see individual reactions. Like he's just doing it for like a reaction to how that certain human will react, right? And he's kind of getting the lay of the land. Like that's sociopathy. I mean, like that's a very base level. They just test people.
That's a really good thought, Dan, because we all do that. We all have a tendency, even in dating or whatever, I'm going to do this with every person I date because I just want to see how they react to it.
Right. And he's doing it
he's doing it like, okay, well, this person reacted negatively, but this last person loved it.
Yeah.
Well, and he's also trying to, if he is sociopathic, and this is a total theory, guys. I'm obviously not a psychologist. I do have a degree though. I don't have a degree. But no,
maybe the deodorant, but it doesn't.
I am a doctor, but only on television.
Only on television. So I know a lot about. No, I'm just kidding. But he I don't know if he's sociopathic or whatever, but they're doing it so they can emulate feelings. So like they're doing it a lot so they can see like the broad spectrum of a feeling, like fear in this case, or or embarrassment, shit like that, and then they simulate it.
I would have to say at this point it's more narcissistic. It is. It is. Right. It's a narcissistic tendency because you're getting the reaction which pleases you. It's not about pleasing the woman that's doing the massage. No, it's not. It's about Deshaun. It's all about Deshaun. So it's so narcissistic, and that's the reason why.
Narcissism, the borderline of sociopathy. That's what you have to be the most.
I just read a book. My therapist had me read a book about narcissism that puts it on a spectrum.
Hey, Tony, not going to say we said that on the last week's show, but we said it comes on a spectrum. Count it.
It does. Well, and what it says is, because
we didn't read the book.
There's a lot of theories now that saying that narcissism is out of control, but honestly, what the book says is we all need a little bit of narcissism in our lives.
Everybody is.
You have
survive,
to.
You have to be.
To be successful, you have to have a little bit of narcissism in your life. My biggest issue is I'm actually considered what's an ecosist, a lower level. I have very little narcissistic traits because I have no confidence in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on it. But when you get into celebrities, athletes, all of them are on probably a 6 or a 7 on the spectrum.
If someone tells you that you're awesome your whole life, you start to believe it.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
You have
to. So
be.
they're probably every athlete, celebrity, reality TV stars are the worst, actually. But everyone are probably about a low 6, and that's right where it starts. 7 is getting into danger zone. 8 is a problem, and then 9, like, it's an addiction.
So it's almost sociopathy at that point. Like,
and then at 10,
about anybody else.
At 10, you're hitting sociopathy, where only you matter. Narcissist level. Like, I'm gonna fall in love with my reflection and drown.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's all I think. That's all I think about all day is like what benefits me. So like they're so far ahead of everybody else because that's all they think about all day is like, how can I gain this? How can I like can you imagine like that's somebody just working against you the whole like, no, we aren't all thinking that shit all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like they're way ahead of us because that's all I think about.
If you're interested in, and I know Dan and 7 are because we talk about this, if you're interested in mental health and all that stuff, check out that book. It's Rethinking Narcissism. It's really fucking interesting.
I've had somebody else recommend that one to me too.
My therapist, and I just finished it. It even has a section 7 on how to raise kids, to teach them that narcissistic is not a bad thing, but understanding there is a point where it does become or can become a bad thing, but still raising confident and successful children.
You said it's called Rethinking
Narcissism.
Yeah, go look that up.
Who's it by?
Now we're all going to go around and we're going to go the scale of 1 to 10 on how much we think we're narcissists. Gene, go. I'm just kidding.
I'll be the first one to tell
I'll send it to you, Dan, because I'm gonna have to look it up.
I'm straight up. I do a thing called promoing, so I'm 100% a narcissist.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, Mr. Pinfall, I think I'm like a 7.5 on that weird scale that he was saying. I think I'm like I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm like sitting at a 6 to a 7. I would say pretty realistically.
I'm glad we're all being honest with ourselves, guys.
Yeah.
You know, for me though, like as I think about this, there is, you know, the thing that bugs me the most, you know, because you guys are right, like it's definitely predatory. You know, there's a very narcissistic piece to this, and you know, because like obviously he has the ability to just have that one girl that he pays.
He's had a girlfriend his entire career. His girlfriend, well, and I don't know if he's still with her after all this, but the girl he was with when all this came out is his college girlfriend.
Yeah, no, that dude's single right now. That dude could not get laid on the Isle of Cersei right now. I'm serious. There is no pussy coming his way.
Tony, are you serious right now? You know that's not true.
That is totally not true. I'm sorry, but there are women out there that would be attracted to him sheerly for the issues he has had.
If he wants, yeah, go ahead.
Hold on, go ahead, Gene.
Let's all be honest. If he was in the Isle of Hades, he would still be able to find somebody. You know, he's not getting it.
He could still be doing the same thing right now. Honestly, he could still be just doing the same thing, just like going and like having 3 or 4 massage therapists that he sees regularly. Doing the same thing, and we wouldn't, as long as he just got them. What do they call it? A silence clause or whatever. He just got them. Non-disclosure. Yeah, just hey, we're gonna do this, but like you can't ever say anything about it, or like we can sue the shit out of you.
And that's what I'm saying. Is there is always for guys like that. There's always ways, and there are women that are more attracted to him now than they were probably before all of this.
Because of the attention.
But isn't this part of the problem in society? Part of society that even though that here's a guy that does this, you would think, you know, with victims and people speaking out about it, that you would want to, you know, get away from him like the plague. But yet there's still those people out there that are still narcissistic on themselves. So it's like, I need this. This is the perfect person for me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I can fix him. You know?
Oh God, yeah. Famous last words of almost every woman. I can fix him.
And we're not gonna want, like, they're just not gonna want to do, like I said earlier, they're not gonna want to do anything good for that man. That's not about Deshaun Watson to them. This is obviously about them benefiting themselves in some way.
Can you imagine those words? I can fix him are the worst words in the English language because it's just gonna lead to disaster.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit, guys. Can you imagine if you're Deshaun Watson and every single relationship, sexually or non-sexually or friendship-wise with a female, they have to sign some paperwork first? It's not a good start to that. You know, cultivating that relationship is really not going to start with the non-disclosure agreement. Like, it's like, hey, you got to sign some paperwork to be with me. Not a great start for Deshaun Watson. So it's like,
but you look at a lot of these sports guys that have been in that same position, like a Mantel, like a Deshaun Watson. You know, later on in their career, this only hurts them. It doesn't get them any better. And do you really see these guys? Even if they were thinking before all this was happening, I'm going to have a Hall of Fame career, that goes out the window by now at this point. Because you don't want the Hall of Fame associated with, that. They don't want people looking up that guy and then, this is, this is his credentials.
While Pete Rose is walking around Cooperstown, Mr. Pinfall, he's just walking on the outside. We get Deshaun Watson in.
There's with baseball, they always keep talking about, do we keep him in or do we throw him out? So,
Right.
Well, and personally, I don't see Deshaun's career ever getting back to where it was. I think he's going to... The mental capability, what you were talking about, Seven and Dan, the guy who was so mentally football, he's never going to be able to focus like that again. And people don't realize what missing an entire season in the NFL does. This guy has not missed football season since. But Dan, think about this: he has not missed a season of football since he was probably in junior high.
If he's a running back, a wide receiver, an outside linebacker, DN, somebody who's going 100 all the time, and it's nothing about the mental side of it, really, like, I can see where your point is. But
I'm talking
Deshaun mentally is like he's going to have to hear, you sick fuck.
That's what I'm saying.
But like, he'll get used to it eventually for real. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised if Browns fans boo him.
Oh, they will.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty quiet for touchdowns.
So
that's what I'm saying.
I don't think he's ever going to be able to put this far enough behind him to have that Hall of Fame career he was on track for before this.
Mike Vick did, and I'm not saying it's the same level. It's just kind of public wise, it is kind of the same level.
I get where you say it's the same level, but people forget harming dogs faster than they do harming women.
Yeah.
The other piece of this that I think Ben Roethlisberger is a rapist, and people forget that.
Never say anything about it, but every time I hear Michael Vick's fucking name with anybody who doesn't know anything about football, here it comes.
He's the guy that hurt all those
kills
dogs.
Fucking dogs, bro.
I mean, Ray Lewis killed a guy.
Ray Lewis killed somebody. Nobody talks about Aaron Hernandez.
But here's the thing. What's even more interesting, if you look at Tyreek Hill, the allegations that were against Tyreek Hill were proven false, like legit proven false. Go to Tyreek Hill's Twitter feed. Every single tweet he makes, you hit your kids, you beat your kids, you're a child abuser, all of that crap. Still, it's been 5 years.
There's a confession on tape. She says on tape that she made it up. Like that's actually on tape.
That's what I'm talking about. He's just, because of the way social media and everything is now, he'll never be able to get this behind him to have that career he was setting up for before all this.
Dave Chappelle said it the best. And if you watch one of his Netflix specials, like the last one, and Dave Chappelle says about, the baby, how he literally killed somebody in Walmart, but didn't destroy his career. But yet he says cunt to a LGBTQ community, and that ends his career. You know what I mean? So same thing here. It's like society picks and chooses what they want to jump on and latch onto as the problem. Yep. And this for Deshaun may go away. And people will be talking about, how there was other football players that were, harming dogs, or this could impact him for the rest of his career, and he doesn't have a Hall of Fame career. At the end of the day, if he wants to do better, yes, he's got to go through the therapy and he's got to, put the time in, but at the same time, he's got to make a conscious effort for himself to stop doing the same habit.
Well,
part
of that is already solved because he can no longer book any massage appointments. The part of his contract and the rule is Cleveland has to book any massages that he has, and there has to be team supervision in the room.
No, he can only use the team therapists.
Oh, I thought they could book them.
Nope.
Certain ones,
because
but
the Texans were booking him. And he was still trying to.
But what I had read is there had to be a team official present at all times.
Nope, it has to be a team therapist. Has to be a team therapist for any massage that he gets, and which is staying. That follows him for the rest of his career. Yep. That is as long as he plays in the NFL, he could leave the Browns and go to the Jets, where all careers go to die. And he's still going to have to use the team therapist for Jets.
Here's a quick question, and then I got to go because I got to go to bed. But
thank fucking God, Jesus.
Fuck you.
Thank fucking God. I've been just waiting
really
for those.
Mad
words
I don't have any. I'm a guest tonight and have no control, so I can mute him.
I know who Josie's dick of the week is.
Always.
Yep.
Is you.
Yeah. Right there, about number 4 all time.
Is Deshaun's career done after Cleveland? I'm not. If he has what I'm thinking, which is going to be I think a lackluster time in Cleveland. I just don't think he's ever going to be the guy that we were seeing in Houston again.
He's got a couple of obstacles to overcome.
I think he's done. I just think after Cleveland, he's going to be written off as washed up and done.
Cleveland's about to lose $230 million.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot for him to drag himself out of what he's dug himself into.
Exactly.
Yeah. You can go now.
It could hurt him. It could hurt him. It's all up onto the player themselves.
You didn't hear me.
That's always how it goes. It's onto the player themselves how they get out of it. Yeah. At the end of the day, they write their ship. So
because let's think about this realistically. You guys talk about not having a Hall of Fame career. Let's say by some stroke of genius, like he gets the rust out this year, comes back next year, and is back to prime Deshaun Watson, gets the Browns to their first Super Bowl.
Now we're talking different.
Guess what?
And we're all rich, and it's raining lollipops.
Bro, but even if that happens, there's still going to be a side of people. There's going to be a complete, opinion. No, I don't care if he wins 7. I don't care if he ties fucking the greatest living American and wins 7. There's still going to be half the people are going to be going, yeah, but he rapes chicks. That's what it's going to be.
But is it really though?
Yes.
But Dan,
shitting rainbows, pooping out.
It doesn't get brought up. It doesn't get brought up with Roethlisberger like that.
Because Roethlisberger's was not near as publicized as this.
I agree.
Well, but that was also Roethlisberger. Sorry, and then I'll let you go, Gene.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL also had a lot more control of the media content that came out regarding NFL topics back at that point with Roethlisberger. The NFL wanted it to go away, and it did. The NFL got Deshaun Watson to settle because they want this to die down by week 1.
That's when he was in college, too. He was in Miami, Ohio.
Right. And so they want this to go away. Now, of course, week 13, we've already talked about it. This is going to be coming back as a bunch of noise. And there will be rustlings, especially as the Browns go through their season where it comes out, would Deshaun Watson have won this game, and all of that. But it's going to be a lot quieter. It's not going to be the central storyline.
No.
God, I hope the Texans just wreck them.
When he comes back, it's going to hit hard again.
It'll spike back. For sure.
It's the thing. The thing here is, at the end of the day, we've heard about other players prior to this that have done these things, and look at those in that time. social media wasn't as big as it is today.
Right.
So here's the thing, like almost all of us here and anybody out, YouTube or Twitter or, Twitch, wherever, they can become private investigators, find shit out about you. Social media has got so big now that, people aren't, how can I put this? You're not so transparent. You're more transparent. You're not so, be able to be hidden and private.
Right. Not at all.
Especially when you're a public figure.
That's right.
Not at all.
Cosby at least had the human decency to put him to sleep before he raped him.
Yeah.
Right.
There is
some of my Jello,
It's a pudding pop.
Yeah.
There is, it would take. There is a path that gives Deshaun the ability to have more positive than negative reaction by the end of his career. However, this is never going to go away.
No,
it's never going to be gone.
Yeah, I don't know if there's even a path. I don't even know if there's a path to positivity for him. Like he could probably get back to neutral, but like at some point, like people like athletes too because they like the person that they think the athlete is, correct?
Yes.
And like,
dude,
how can you even justify being a Deshaun Watson fan at this point?
Yes.
Regardless of whether he wins a Super Bowl or not. Like, I don't think kids can do it because their dads are going to go, yeah, he rapes chicks though. And like,
as someone that was a huge fan of his, not just for the fact that he played for my team and that he was the first good quarterback we ever had. He was that. It's exactly what you said, Dan. He came off as the good guy. Went to college, finished college, had a great college year. Always came off as the nice guy, the guy you wanted to go have a beer with. Just seemed like the good guy.
And
now all of that is dead. Like and
shattered.
And I don't see how anybody can try and still be a fan of this man.
They can't. I mean, they just naturally are just not gonna want to. Kind of. I'm not saying nobody is. There's obviously going to be fans.
There are. I guarantee you, there are Cleveland fans right now that are like, "Yeah, we'll see him at 13."
Yeah, but here's the thing. Then you're going to look at those fans and go, look at the type of fans he's going to get, and you're going to be like, "Ooh, this guy's a little creepy."
Even Deshaun doesn't want to. Even Deshaun doesn't want him. Yeah. Does this rag smell like chloroform?
But, well, that's my theories on this, and I hope that the Texans week 13 just demolish him. I hope they have 15 sacks on his ass.
Well, it's the Texans, so they're.
I mean, I realize it's Davis Mills.
I like Davis Mills.
I do too. I get a lot of shit for that. I think Davis Mills could be a quality quarterback in the next couple of years.
Josie, are you really not in on that joke?
Josie, by the way,
this has become legend now.
The shirt for Sports Report After Dark, when we get the merch going, it just needs to say, "I like Davis Mills."
With the picture of him on the front of it.
That's all you have to do for the After Dark shirt.
All it's going to be, for real. That's not a joke. Like, it's a running joke with us because Seven said one night on the Sports Report that I like Davis Mills, and I just made fun of him for it. I was like, do you really like Davis Mills? And like, I just made fun of him for it. Last week on our show, a dude literally makes a fucking Davis Mills comp and we were like, "Are you fucking with us, dude? Like, you're trolling us, right?" And he was like, "I don't know what you guys are talking about." I'm like, "Dude, this is fucking hilarious. Like, we make this joke all the time, and now that just happened." So it's just a running thing now. Like, Davis Mills is going to be the greatest quarterback of all time. I think it's just like we're like set it up.
In no shitting, I do think he's a quality quarterback. I think, and
Mike Glennon
had they been able to go through with their plan on him and him not be starting like he was, he should not have been starting for another year or two. Was the original plan with him?
Why does it look like Davis Mills' shoulder pads are too small all the time?
Because his neck is too big.
Is he going to be the only quarterback playing with a neck brace?
He reminds me of Mike Glennon.
No, he has the neck of that dude that was on TikTok a couple of years ago.
I remember that.
The convict that has the large neck. Like, I swear those two could be brothers.
It's his like trap neck. It was like
maybe that's just his recovery story. We don't know. Davis Mills didn't pop up till a couple of years ago. Well, I mean, maybe that dude and
he has some controversial pigmentation surgery. Very controversial pigmentation surgery.
But all right, guys, y'all have a good night.
You too.
Hey, buddy.
God,
thank God that guy's gone. Every time I do it to him every time. Fuck.
God. It's there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff from this because there's going to be some guys that want to take a shot at him.
There will,
but you're also going to have what's going to make it harder is that offensive line in Cleveland is a disaster.
Yeah,
like it's bad. So they're not going to be able to do shit to stop it. That 15 sacks may not be a stretch.
If anybody fits that kind of like fit for an offense, though, that it is Deshaun Watson, though. I mean, he's smart. He makes good decisions. Honestly, he's really fast. He's good. Like he has great legs. Like it literally, he has great legs, guys. Just great legs. Great legs. That Deshaun Watson. I'm winking right now. You can't tell, but great. He's got great fucking legs, dude. Great fucking legs. Dude, have you? Hey,
I don't think Doug skips a leg day.
Dude, Mr. Pinfall, please watch this for me when you get it, like at some point. Dude, Doug Stanhope, breast cancer. Do you know what I'm talking about? Dude, Doug Stanhope. Oh, you know what I'm talking about? Oh my God, dude, that's my favorite fucking. Like, we're gonna play that on the show at some point because he gets into that, dude. That's one of my favorite stand-up skits of all time. One of the best bits I've ever seen. But yeah, that's oh, he's fucking peel off those lycra pants.
But
sorry, guys, he fits the offense. Back to the point. He does.
Yes, and he does. I mean, he's a very mobile quarterback. You know, we've been there's people that are going to forget. Like the reason he was an elite quarterback was because of his movement and his instincts. I mean, there was a lot of comps between him and Patrick Mahomes. Yep. Him and Lamar Jackson, like those were the three big mobile quarterbacks.
There you go.
And you know, and of course Lamar Jackson was added into that in the string of it as well because of those guys, him, and then even Kyler's pretty mobile as well.
Kyler's really mobile, dude. Kyler
he has to be. Like I think Kyler would be like 10 to 20% better if Davis Mills could donate some of his neck to Kyler.
Do you know how
just give him like an extra inch and a half, 2 inches maybe of that neck? Davis Mills goes to looking more like a normal guy, and Kyler can see over the offensive line.
you know, like in practice, where like the strength guys, like the white dudes that are like 5'8", like hold up the pads to like make themselves simulate a 670 end, right? That's how Kyler Murray plays all the time. It looks like everybody has like two gigantic things sticking out, and he just like he just has to time every route, and just like it's like what's that game we used to play? Cherry Bomb, where you throw the ball as high as you can, like you would say Cherry Bomb, and that was one that won the game, right? So you throw it as high as you can, and then somebody has to catch it. You know what I'm talking about? It was like a competition catch game for baseball. But yeah, that's what it's like for Kyler Murray every time he throws the ball. He just has to like rotate. That's why he has to get out of the pocket. He's fast as fuck, dude. I mean, that's what he does. He's good at it.
But, you know, and if Deshaun can get back into the swing of things, I think he could make some noise. That's why I think that the noise could die down. Like I said, I don't think it's ever going to go away.
No, it's not going to go away. Like I said, really, it's on to the player to write this point. What happens if he doesn't get good and he goes stagnant? Then this doesn't go away, and it's just going to be like a big tidal wave, and it'll take him over. But if he gets good and able to help Cleveland, and Cleveland sort of go, yeah, he did this, but he made up for it here, blah blah blah, and he rides the wave like a good surfer, then maybe, just maybe, he gets ahead of it, and you know, people will be like, yeah, he did this, but this is what.
Right.
Who knows?
You're almost saying like there's just, and I completely agree with you. I think there's only one route that he can take gets him in the positive, and that's he has to do everything right from here on out. Like literally, there's no leeway for any and if he does everything correctly, which is incredibly unlikely, there's like 11 million different routes, and one of them is gonna end him in positive, but the other, the other 10,900,000 fuck ever is gonna not. It's like he can't fuck up at all, and he's gonna. he's a human. He's gonna. I mean, obviously he's a kind of a monster.
We're all right now standing as Doctor Strange, and we went through the multiverse, and we've come back and said, there was 14 million different possibilities, and there's only one.
Only one. Yes, Marvel fans. Marvel fans unite. Hey, if we touch our penises together, lightning strikes. It'll strike on the. You didn't know that about Marvel fans? You got to get 3 of them together, and then you touch all your penis heads, and it turns into it's like a
Thor's hammer,
like a Thor type, and it goes through the ground like you're fucking Goku. You guys didn't know that? Maybe I've done it too much.
A couple times. Yeah. Anytime is too much, but go ahead. Sorry.
To bring on to something else, actually, if for those people out there, Kenny Omega made his return last night.
Ooh, I saw that.
In AEW, Kenny Omega is now back. He was the third member with the Young Bucks in the trios tag team match. So.
I like watching him on the mat. He's really talented at what he does in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not bad when it comes to cutting a promo, but
this is what hurts my soul a little bit. Yes, he's Canadian, and actually, me and Kenny Omega share the same birthday. He's October the 16th, 1983. Nice. I'm October the 16th, 1986. So he's only 3 years older than I am. So yeah, he's from Winnipeg. I'm from Barrie, Ontario. But anyways, that's Besides the
what does that make you? Are you a Virgo?
No, that makes us both Libras.
Cancer. Libra.
Yeah, no, they're both Canadian. Dan.
And balancing the scales. But besides all that fact, Don Callis is back with him again, and that hurts me, and I do not like Don Callis. No. Don Callis is out of them all, that's the guy that's like an anchor that weighs him down. Cut that piece off, and he excels.
Is that like his? Is that like his guy that his what do they call? Used to call him
manager.
Manager. Who was the dude that did it for Undertaker? The dude that did it for Undertaker. Paul Bearer. Yeah, that was
and then
classic.
Paul Heyman does it
with Roman Reigns now. Yeah. But there's some guys that need that works well. With Kenny, it doesn't. It just Don Callis is just a mouthpiece that does too much mouth, but not enough help for the actual story. He does nothing.
So you're saying like their narratives almost don't line up.
That's right.
Basically, yeah. Okay.
The energy doesn't work between them. It really doesn't. Like it's. You know how if you ever ran into a friend that's on a first date and the energy is just super fucking awkward the entire time while you're talking to him? That's exactly what it's like when those two are on screen. That's exactly the feeling that I get is they're on an awkward first date and they haven't decided how it's going yet.
Right. They clearly are not on the same page.
They've been doing that for 10 years now?
Yeah.
Back and forth. Are you interested? But I'm not interested. But I might be interested. Now you're interested. And all we're wondering is, can we get hopped up enough to play a game called Ouch Ouch You're on My Hair? Just for just to see how it feels.
No.
Wedding Crashers.
It's good to see him back in the ring though.
It is. It is. And he did do a post after they went off TV saying hey, even if I have to wear, aesthetic tape and whatnot, I'm coming back. And there was already talks or rumors in the rumor mill that Kenny Omega was coming back, and they had to change plans for him to come back. The only problem here with AEW is, so they booked for next Wednesday is CM Punk versus Jon Moxley, and everybody's like, okay, well, if they book this Wednesday, what are they going to do for All Out? That would have been, for me, you booked your interim champion match for All Out, and you know what I mean, they'd go from there. But no, Tony Khan and his great marketing. Put your best product out front and see how the rest of it runs downhill. It's not great marketing.
Yeah, let's do one of the bigger matches of your of the quarter on a Wednesday show, not on the pay-per-view that people are paying $60 a pop to watch.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing here. It's I said a while back to my sister, we were watching it, and when they got Jade now as the TBS champion. And at the time, you had Serena Deeb doing the professor thing, the 5-minute challenge and whatnot. I'm like, no, you put Serena versus Jade. Serena deserves, a title shot at something, whether it have been the women's title or even the TBS. But no, because it would have made Jade look bad because Jade's still green. And here's Serena, who would have wiped the floor on the mat with her. So it's like,
so they're almost trying to keep her in the loop, at least. Everybody just counter out like, oh, fuck that.
they'd be on the same show, like Rampage, and then you had like Jade Cargill facing off against some rookie that she's gonna like just stomp over. Oh, and then right minutes before that, it was the Serena Deeb challenge, 5 minutes, and it's like, what? Like, makes no sense.
That was gonna be my question: is like, how much of it is about like, it should be all about marketing, right? Like every single match should be geared towards viewership, correct? Because like you actually have the ability to dictate kind of not how things exactly go, but you have a way to steer it, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. Like wouldn't that be the whole thing? Like, are they factoring in like actual like health issues and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we don't want her to fight twice in a row. Like, like, are they, because that shouldn't be factored in at this point. Like, you should put the best aces in the places, they used to call it.
Yeah. There's the thing. You look at, and I'm going to take this, like you look at a company like internet company like MLW, and they, but when you look at the card, regardless of how well they perform, you look at the card, it's balanced out correctly. You look at a card like with the WWE, regardless of how great it is or how bad the storytelling is or whatever, the card is balanced out fairly correctly. You look at AEW, and it's like they're just throwing shit on the wall to hope this sticks and people will like this, and they give you maybe 1-2 great booked matches, but then everything else is sort of like, we're just throwing this at the wall, and there's no telling why they do it. They just do it, and then you're like left on the wall like, that didn't work well. Okay,
Mr. Pinfall, are they doing it like early in the show? Are they doing most of them early? Because that actually kind of makes sense to me. Because doing it early kind of, because obviously people have lesser attention spans at this point. So like to do something within the first 10 minutes, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, maybe but if it's all just fucking batshit, like all over the place, then there's no strategy in it at all. It's just,
I've had friends of mine who have gone to live AEW shows, and usually an AEW show runs for about a typical, if you buy your tickets, about 4 hours and like 50 minutes roughly.
Right.
Because they give you, usually how a taping will go, you get a tape of Dark, Elevation, and then it may be like, if it's for Dynamite, so on that Tuesday, you'll get them. If you go early, you'll get the Dark, you get the Elevation, and then, okay, we're live taping Dynamite.
Wow. Okay.
And then, so you're getting a bunch of wrestling. You're getting a shit ton. You're getting your money's worth. But it's, a lot of it is, they're just throwing bookings. So you might see, yes, on Dynamite, John Silver might be wrestling, and we're all watching like, oh, that's John Silver's first match. But then you watch Monday, John Silver had a match with, the Dark Order. So he was out there no more than maybe, he's got to rest for like 2 hours or something, or, maybe an hour and a half, and he's back out wrestling again. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
Bro, I have a confession to make about wrestling. Like, I bag on wrestling all the time, but here's the thing that I know. I've never seen wrestling live. Yeah. If I see wrestling live, I'm gonna be like, all right, this fucking shit's awesome. Like that's what's gonna happen. I can already tell. I can already tell that that's probably what's gonna happen. I'm like, all right, fucking, this is cool as shit. Like, because it is an actual sporting event. Like, that's what people are taking away from it, is like the actual physicality of it is an actual thing. Like,
that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I'll speak on this a little bit. I have been to indie shows. Like, I'm talking like super indie, like way, I've seen
where most of it's wrestling, right? Like most of it.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah,
all of it is like, usually how an indie show will run is like, you'll go there at like 7, doors open up, get a match that's like called like a dark match or like an early match, and then you'll get the actual card that starts at like 8 o'clock. The actual show starts. About halfway through that show, it goes on to like, like you get like a time for like a break. It's like a 50-minute break. So you can go to their merch table and blah, 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 buy some stuff. And then you come back, and then it starts the next half of the maybe another hour of wrestling. So it equals out to about 3 hours.
In unlicensed boxing, Mr. Pinfall, you would call that the house match.
Yeah.
Where everybody bets against the house. The house actually bets against people, and then that's the round and everything.
So basically how it works is that. And I've seen some really great shows. I've seen some, not so great shows.
Right.
But it's from a perspective when you go there, it's that they have predetermined or talked in the back, like maybe who's going to win or what they want to do. But when you're watching it live, it's just
there's still execution involved.
Yeah, you're enthralled in the storytelling that they're giving you. That's what it comes out to be.
Right. And a lot of times what you'll see is like, because one of the reasons why the wrestlers don't wear mics, not just because they would fall off, but when you look at this, like if you look at it, like you'll notice that you can't hear what the wrestlers are saying, like almost like that radar gun that they use to pick up the audio isn't connecting anything, but they're talking. It's because they're talking about moves and what they're going to do. They're working it out so that everybody's in sync and nobody gets hurt.
Right.
I had the pleasure of working a WrestleMania back in, I want to say it was WrestleMania 25. It was it was down here in Phoenix. And it was one of the most amazing experiences to watch those guys work. And I grew up with the Attitude Era, so
yeah, me too. But like, how's that any less of a sport than say, what's the one where they do like all the obstacles and stuff? Like it's like running, and then you have to like lift Ninja Warrior stuff. Like there's some that kind of stuff. Like how's that any less? Because that's all predetermined too. Like what you're going to do before it, but you still have to execute physically to do it. So like how's it, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it's determined, but like so are races, bro. Like, they know that they're only going 200 yards, 200 meters. Like that's predetermined.
Every WrestleMania there's always every WrestleMania there's always a celebrity that shows up and does a match. I think it wasn't this last year, but it was the year before. It was Bad Bunny's match. It wasn't right. But that's the thing is like he put the work in. And the execution was there. He actually pulled off some very difficult. There was that one move that was hella difficult that you don't see pro guys do very often.
Yeah,
that he managed to do. I can't remember what it was called, but it's the reason why a lot of like wrestling fans appreciated his performance is because he put the work in, so that when it came time to perform, he could execute.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much value in wrestling entertainment.
Like this year's WrestleMania, I didn't shit on Logan. Like everybody's like, oh, it's Logan Paul, he's coming, but he's done high school wrestling, so he had the idea of freestyle, and
that dude's a legit athlete too.
Yeah,
he is. Absolutely,
and I've come from that background, like that. I did freestyle wrestling for a year in high school. You know what I mean? So I understand. So he took it serious. He didn't just like there's some. Mm-hmm. Celebrities that just look, oh yeah, it's predetermined.
I'm out here doing a show. Like that ain't no motherfucking show to those guys, dude.
I always have respect for those celebrities that get it, like Gronkowski. Like he was a little stiff, but he's a bigger dude. The bigger dudes, their movements are a little bit more stiff. But Gronkowski put the work in. He did. That's one of the reasons why the wrestling community loves it is he does really well when he shows up.
Guys,
Pat McAfee. Look at the match.
Prime example. Absolutely,
match he had. And I'm talking NXT, he had the match with Adam Cole. Adam Cole, top tier superstar. And he literally put the work in from the Pat McAfee match we had one-on-one with Adam to the War Games match we had with Pat McAfee and the Undisputed Era. Phenomenal. You know what I mean? That's why, you know what I mean?
Well, but it's like Logan Paul, and that's the thing, is like Pat McAfee. Yes, he was a kicker, but that dude is still an athlete.
Yep.
I went to high school with a guy that could have been a pro kicker. Like he had the opportunity, and that dude was a legit athlete.
They're usually soccer players, which is
and he was a soccer player. I played soccer with him sophomore year, and then I played soccer with him sophomore year, and then the football coach begged him to come over and kick junior year, and they won state, and he got a full ride to kick field goals in college, and then got invited to the combine, like as a kicker. Only 100. So for those of you that don't know, when it comes to the NFL Combine, 100 players get invited. It is so rare. Like if you get a kicker invited to the Combine, it's like 1 or 2, if you're lucky. And he got invited and turned it down because of the school. And I want to say it was Mizzou that he went to, offered him an academic scholarship to get his master's because he was actually doing the schoolwork and taking advantage of his full ride. He stayed and got his master's, and he's an executive for a company.
He was very fiscally responsible.
Yeah, smart guy. I have so much respect for him. Go up on YouTube and look up videos of Brad Beckwith. It was a college kicker.
I know that name.
Yeah, I went to high school with him. He went to Cameron. Great dude too.
Guys, I'm telling you, I tried to do a Jeff Hardy wonton bomb on a trampoline one time, and it is fucking ridiculous. I got injured.
I did a 15-foot jump onto a trampoline one time to kind of mimic, because the moment, because I liked wrestling. The moment that I fell in love with wrestling was the Taker and Mankind Hell in a Cell match.
Okay, so I'm gonna date myself here, and I can tell you this.
Ultimate Warrior.
So April of 05 was my year that I was graduating high school.
Yeah, because you're a year ahead of me, a year or two ahead of me, so that'd be about right.
Yeah, so 05 April, it was a Wednesday, and I tried out for an actual company in Spring Hill, or in the area of the Maritimes. They were from Nova Scotia. They're from Spryfield. Their former name, if you might be able to look it up, they've got some stuff on YouTube and whatnot. They were called Mainstream Wrestling, MLW or MSW, and I went and tried out for them. All you had to do was bring $50. My mom gave me her only $50. I tried out, and I actually pretty much had my foot in the door. I made it, and I legit that night they had an argument. Like the promoter was also a wrestler as well, and the guy that was putting on the tryout, he was a big name guy. He's actually writing a book right now. Nevada Vance is writing a book about Canadian wrestling and maritime wrestling and just wrestling in general. And so he was the guy who was training it. It was doing the training, and literally had an argument with the promoter, and like saying like you got to pick this kid up right now. Like he's like uber talented. We got to put him on tonight's card, get him to do something, whatever. And Buddy was like, no. And basically played it off to me. It was like, I would have put you on the card, or I would have got you to do something, but this is a drop kick for cancer tour, and it's already pre-done, blah, blah, blah. And, come back tonight, good seat, blah, blah, blah type thing. So anyways, long story short, the people that were there at the tryout, because that night I met the Honky Tonk Man, longest Intercontinental champion. I met, before she went to the WWE, I met Natalia Neidhart.
Oh.
So, like...
They're 100% still... Mainstream wrestling is 100% still active. It's like still in...
Supposedly.
They have titles and title holders as of 2021.
But no, it's
could have been you, bro. Could have been Mr. Pinfall. Would you have? That gonna be your stage name, Mr. Pinfall?
No, actually, at the time, the name that I wanted to go with was ICE. I wanted to use ice. I had a really good catchphrase, like don't play on thin ice type idea. And Buddy was like we heard this name like 1,000 times, like you know what I mean. So
it was probably like an anonym of something, like ICE was like a stiff or something. That's
like
fantastic.
An anagram. No, actually, it just goes straight up. Like it was almost like the character was almost like a little bit of like a ripoff, like the Triple H. Like I loved Triple H, Undertaker, like their Bret Hart. I was going to put like a different spin on their set type idea.
Triple H was all. I loved watching Triple H in the ring, man. Yeah. He was, especially in his prime, he was so damn athletic, especially for as big as he was. He was so damned athletic.
Yeah.
Just and obviously stringy hair.
All the abuse he's taken.
The guy that, for me, over my time of wrestling and watching wrestling, I fell in love with guys like, when I was a kid. Yes, I was a Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior fan. Okay, like
me too.
Little kid, like
I used to have a little Hulk Hogan action figure that I carried around with me.
How can I put this? I'll tell you a really funny story. So my mom, and this is remember the age where there was like onesies for pajamas for kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So footy pajamas, as we used to call them back in the 80s.
Absolutely.
Footies.
Yeah.
So anyways,
like a teddy bear.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
so there was a hole in the seam somewhere of this, and because I liked Hulk Hogan so much, I ripped it, did the whole Hulk Hogan pose. Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Wow, you just ripped that entire."
So my intro, because my mom kind of liked wrestling, and so she'd let me catch it. And Sting,
fan of the show,
my first
shout out to Beverly.
Yes, my first favorite wrestler was actually Sting.
Okay, what Sting are we talking about? Are we talking pro Sting or 80s, surfer Sting?
Crow Sting.
Pro, the Crow. The Crow.
WCW Nitro.
See, I remember Sting, the 80s Sting, the woo long,
I've heard about that, but I've really never seen any of it.
You can find it on YouTube.
I'll have to look at that. I hadn't even thought about that in a long time. But yeah, I've heard people talk about that, but I've only ever just for me, when I think of Sting, it's either the band, the Police, but the wrestler, it's the Crow, that iconic, the white face paint with the black and all of that,
Seven.
Look up Seven. This would be the perfect thing to look up. Is try to find the promo that he gives, and this was it was a Monday Nitro or whatever, and he's turned his back to the camera, and the entire time he's given the promo, because he's still in that full on surfer Sting style. He's just got his back to the camera, and he's delivering this promo he's turning his back on WCW because he's the hero, but they want to go a whole new reality direction. Type thing. And that's what's the setup to how the Crow Sting gets evolved. But it's originally, and this is rest in peace to Scott Hall. It was actually Scott Hall that told Sting, hey, you should go look at this movie Crow and try to emulate some of this into your character, because I think it would work.
Wow. I did not know that.
It was Scott Hall.
I did not know that came from Scott Hall. That's interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
I figured it came from the Crow, but I didn't know it was actually
I mean, awesome. I don't think it's really possible to see that, and especially for the time frame when that came out, because that was early 90s, right there around the time of the Crow.
Yeah.
And if you know about those two, it's hard to not look at him and see the influence.
Seven, can I give you a Major League Baseball comp to Sting?
Okay.
I'll give you a Major League Baseball comp. Barry Bonds. So he has the career that's already Hall of Fame before he becomes the actual Hall of Famer.
Yep.
And it's caused by the first part of his career that he becomes the actual GOAT. He is my GOAT. I think that I said it the other day, and Will about lost his fucking mind. That I said that I said the Stinger Splash is the greatest fucking special move of all time in any wrestling.
Well, you think about it. Not only did Sting sort of have the lock on the Stinger Splash, but there was a lot of guys that tribute to it. Like you look at Van Vader, Big Van Vader, he did a splash. A lot of the bigger guys later on, you got guys like Bam Bam Bigelow that does somewhat similar. Most
I haven't thought about that name in a long time.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah.
Bam.
But see, here's the thing. And like I said, as I get older, so young me likes Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, which you could never understand an Ultimate Warrior promo. Don't ever try. So
he was like the Indian on peyote all the time. He was like the peyote-ridden Indian the whole time. Like
if you ever want to look up the most funniest promo, go look up the promo he gives about him and Hulk Hogan before WrestleMania 6. He literally tells Hulk Hogan, you're flying a plane, go into the cockpit, throw the pilots out, take control of the control stick and put it into a nosedive. Yeah.
Yes. Their promos used to be crazy, dude. I always post this video every year that it comes up on my memories on Facebook. It's Macho Man and fucking Hulk. And they're like, we're going to go into a different stratosphere, brother. And they're just, and it literally says the first time me and my friend tried shrooms, and they're literally just like, unite above the stars. And it's just the craziest shit ever.
Yeah. It's right before they do the handshake, they don't, they want
and they're like, ooh, touching. Yeah, yes, I love that, dude. That's like the best thing ever.
But anyways,
crazy and shit.
as I get older, I go to the more of the technical wrestling, and guys like Bret Hart, but also you had Shawn Michaels, you had
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle later
Kurt Angle,
on,
phenomenal talent.
But you look at I go back
Benoit.
and I look at guys that brought that technical style. If it wasn't for, and I say this now, you can go back and look at it. The guy that really kicks off or helps kick off the Attitude Era is Bret Hart. When he starts making that change in there, I'm not talking like the new generation, like the first start when they started changing everything because they wanted to get away from big men and whatnot. But I'm just talking about the actual Attitude Era, like everything after WrestleMania 13, that whole switch between him and Bret, and even Austin says it. There would be no Stone Cold Steve Austin if it wasn't for Bret Hart.
Dude, Bret Hart like added the anti-hero. He was like the anti-hero kind of like just flavor. It was like the anti-hero, like he wasn't the actual anti-hero, but he was starting to like push back a little bit. And people were like, hey, I kind of like this. It's the bad guy that, that we all cheer for. Like he still does good stuff.
Yeah, but it worked well for how the WWF at that time where they were traveling through, that, you know what I mean? So there'd be points where you would see WWF there in the United States and Bret's getting all the boos, the Hart Foundation's hated on. But as soon as they go up the next week and they're in Canada, they're getting loved on like heroes, and all the guys that were being cheered or being booed. You know what I mean? It was a perfect thing. It was that perfect way to play off. And Bret had throughout his career really never had that. Like, yes, when he first went in with Jim Anvil Neidhart, I always loved the Hart Foundation. I loved the tag team wrestling and the Rockers and stuff. And they were supposed to be a heel tag team, but there would be points where you could start seeing them be faces.
Right.
Even though that they were technically looked at as the heels, they were, with Jimmy, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and he's, a heel manager, and they're supposed to be heels. They really never were looked at in the ring as heels. Their wrestling was very much face style.
Right.
And one, because they were so good too. They were so good that people were just like, hey, I actually like watching them wrestle. And like, I don't care if they say the stuff on the, you know what I'm saying? Like that's like that actually the wrestling actually supersedes it for me. And like, that's actually a huge point, right? I mean, that's gotta be a huge turning point.
Yeah. For me, like, well, in with Bret Hart, like if Bret Hart doesn't start to do what he does with that change, I don't think we get it. Like, we talk about two people that were kind of the likable heels, but not heels, as far as, back and forth. Austin and The Rock are prime examples.
Yeah.
Hogan did like the polar opposite thing.
Yeah.
Where he was like he was like the best, like the face, and then he was like
that
Hollywood.
Core run with The Rock and Sock connection with The Rock and Mankind.
Yep.
That there's no way that happens. No. Because Foley was one of those where he kind of went back and forth too. Yep. And I think that was one of the things that made the Attitude Era beautiful is
Dude Love.
You had there was this ebb and flow between the different characters. Mm-hmm. Like D-Generation X spent a lot of time as a heel, but there would be times where they were not the heel.
I always loved D-Generation X.
Well, here's the thing. You look at the Shawn Michaels, Triple H, D-Generation X when they first start off. It's technically they are heels.
Right.
They're doing heelish things. That whole group with China, that's heel. Then you get after WrestleMania 14, or when Stone Cold wins, the new DX that comes in is a more face DX. They're getting over. They're getting, the respect and the cheer of the fans. It was a whole new way. And then Triple H himself was at that position where he now doesn't. If he wants to be a top guy, he's got to cut himself off from all this, and that's where you get later on.
And separate like completely. So it's like there's the king, and then there's all the king's men who are fighting. Yeah. It's
Justin Timberlake and the rest of NSYNC.
Yeah.
Yes. King of the Hill type stuff.
Yeah. That sort of, and it's the truth. That definitely is. So as I'm getting older, I'm loving more of the technical stuff. And during that time, even in the Attitude Era, and this is like early prime internet getting started, I had respect for Ric Flair and what he's done, but I go back because, hey, in Canada, we're lucky enough that we can sort of, from time to time, get other wrestling. We don't just get the WWF. We do.
Dude,
get,
I got it shoved in my face when I was like 10. Like that was all there was. There was all there was, and that was when the WCW and the WWE were split. Still, it was
Monday Night Wars.
And that was Goldberg loses, and that fucking the crumbles start to start to.
I go and I'm able to switch channels and watch the WCW and stuff, but at the same time we had like Stampede Wrestling, and we had AWA, and Vern Gagne's promotion there for a while, so you got to see different flavors. And so this is pre-internet. You go back and you start I go start looking up like the old school Four Horsemen, and then you get a more respect for the idea of where pro wrestling is. And you start going, okay, why aren't we seeing more of this? Especially with Ric Flair, he would be at a house show, or he would be at like a regular show, not wrestling, but just talking the birds out of the trees for 20 minutes.
Yep.
And the only wrestling he would do is that big pay-per-view. It would force you to go buy that big pay-per-view, or that would force you to go watch that big match, because he would bring you'd be enthralled on all the shit he's talked for 20 minutes.
Conor McGregor almost stole that recipe. Like that's like that theory is like Conor McGregor's thing. Like, let's just build it up to the point where like everybody needs to watch this just because of what's happened before it. And like it's so perfect. Like it's just it's the ultimate build up. It's like creating anticipation, and then that's and like it doesn't even matter how the fucking fight goes. You know what I'm saying? Like they just want to know who wins, who loses. Doesn't even matter if it's like that great of a match.
Ric Flair was CM Punk before CM Punk was CM Punk.
There you go. Almost every how can I put this? Every guy that's in the business today, at this point, you look at them. The Ric Flair, the CM Punks, the Bret Harts, the Owen Harts, the Hangman Adam Pages, the Kenny Omega, the anybody. Ric Flair is the guy they base themselves on, because he was truly, to be 100% honest, truly was the original pipe bomb. He'd go out there, talk a bunch of shit, and get you to talk. He could talk mad shit, and you'd hate the guy. You either hated or loved him, but you wanted to watch some dude get his shit kicked in.
Flair's like the Muhammad Ali of Flair's like the Muhammad Ali of WWF. Without the obviously
Flair, I would say Flair, and you had Flair, you had Superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah.
You had Dusty Rhodes.
Wasn't Jake the Snake like really good on the mic? He had like a gimmick though.
Yeah.
Like Jake had like a
no. Like I would still say with Jake, because Jake
great entertainer
again brought you. So here's a little bit of a thing if you didn't get it. So Jake the Snake, when he gets in there, he had the ring psychology. He talks low on the mic, blah blah blah, get you to listen. But if you really follow Jake the Snake and you follow Stone Cold, when Stone Cold starts off, just remember the match that creates the 316. I just whipped your ass.
Yeah,
the whole thing. That was all set up by Jake.
Yeah, dude. Have you seen his Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I've seen
super
he was on
interesting.
Rogan, but I haven't got to sit down and watch it. I heard it was really good though.
So Jake the Snake, it was a way for him to pass the torch. And ironically enough, Stone Cold gets the moniker, the Bionic Redneck and the Rattlesnake from Jake the Snake.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew that he was kind of mentoring him, but yeah.
That's how that all plays in. But really, if you look at the match physically, it's Jake passing the torch to the next generation, and then you get Stone Cold cutting that great promo. Tidbit for that though, that technically that spot was supposed to be for Triple H, but only a couple weeks prior to that they had the curtain call in Madison Square Garden, and Vince could put a suspension on Shawn because he's the champion. You had Razor and you had Scott Hall, or he had Scott Hall and Kevin Nash already leaving, going to WCW. So Triple H is the buddy that gets the shit on. He gets taken out of the King of the Ring, and Austin gets put in, and then Austin creates the 316 and gets the push.
And the rest is history, as they say.
And the rest is history, as they say. No, it was okay.
I was Stone Cold Steve Austin for Halloween like 4 years ago. It was great. A lot of fun.
Austin in the Ring was I was watching one that he did earlier today, like a video came up on my timeline, and it was just him in the ring with McMahon. And he goes, I had 1 beer. And you hear the crowd, what?
Oh, yeah.
2 beers. What? And he goes all the way up to 9. And this wasn't like a quick thing. This was a slower pace. He goes, 9 beers. What? He goes, and then I had a Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Like the amount of talent it takes to deliver the way that guys like that do, whether it's Flair, whether, anybody up, him, The Rock, Mankind, even, CM Punk, any of those guys that were God tier on the mic, their delivery was so impeccable. Like as a comic where delivery is my key, I have so much respect for those guys and what they do, because I know how hard it is to deliver that fucking cleanly.
Yep.
It's like they're not getting laughter, they're getting like exuberance, basically. It's not laughter, it's just a different, but they're still dragging it out of arenas full of people, which is.
He counted to 9 talking about beers in an arena with 25,000 people, and they counted along and said 9 times and stayed engaged the whole time.
It's like Family Guy, just doing jokes for way too long.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You hear this from not just from wrestlers, not just from actors, from musicians as well. Just finished watching on Netflix the train wreck of Woodstock '99, and the lead singer of Korn talks about how he walks out there and he sees a sea of people, and he goes, just the feel and just the ability to interact and be able to get these people to do whatever the fuck I want. That's a high you'll never get from any drug. That's just a super, super high. And
he was doing a lot of drugs.
Jonathan Davis collects. Jonathan Davis collects serial killer memorabilia. He has Ted Bundy's yellow bug with the chain link in the back of it. He owns that car.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Really fun fact for you.
That's hella creepy. Okay. One other thing I wanted to talk about, because we're already at 1 hour and 45 minutes. Earlier this week on Monday.
He's fine.
Or no, I'm sorry. On Tuesday, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers criticized the team young receivers, saying they need to be way more consistent in practice. In the interview, he talked about being concerned about route decisions, drops, stuff like that.
Practice, dude. You're getting your shit together.
We talking about practice, man?
It's
rookies. We talking about practice, man.
Practice, man.
We ain't talking about practice. Not a
rookies
game.
At practice. Working with a Hall of Fame talent quarterback. They can't read his mind. This man who says that he did 2 different trips down to South America over the last 2 years before his MVP seasons to do guided ayahuasca trips. And that's how he learned enlightenment and self-love. But he's going to think it's a good idea to publicly chastise your entire receiver core after practice.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
practice, man.
Gene, I'm gonna let you take this one first. What do you think, buddy?
I'm 100%. I'm a Packers fan. I love Packers. Green and yellow. I actually have green and yellow on my phone. I listen to it when I'm walking to work and stuff. So you know what I mean. So Aaron, sometimes this is the big head part where we talked about somebody who's got a little bit. This is practice, dude. This is what training camp and practices are for. It's how you learn to get better. If you chastise your team now, all that's ever going to do to you is make them not want to play with you.
Motherfuckers better catch up.
So, you know what I mean?
It's
in a game where it's not about a single individual that you need a team to win. That's not a good thing.
I feel like somebody should probably tell Aaron Rodgers that games are not about him. Dan,
but aren't they though? I mean, that's the thing. You're watching a Packers game. Ask anybody who's just not a football fan in general who's on the Green Bay Packers. What's the most of their answer going to be?
Aaron Rodgers.
The greatest thrower of the football to ever live. And now 2 years ago, he has 1,000 hands of his ancestor reaching inside of his soul and telling him that they're proud of him and to continue the path that he's on. And you're going to criticize this man for criticizing his shit wide receivers. Let me just Alan Lazard. How about that? Punchline. Alan fucking Lazard. Sammy Watkins. Double punchline.
I was going to say, isn't Sammy
Finish
Watkins
it up.
on that
How about
roster?
that timing? How about that timing? How about that comedic timing? Sammy fucking Watkins.
Hey,
Get the
Sammy
fuck
Watkins
outta here with
is
that
Super Bowl
shit.
champion, so you better be
Get the
respectful.
fuck out of here with that shit. Amari
Yes.
Rogers. Amari Rogers plays slot
Sammy
wide
Watkins
receiver.
has the same number of Super Bowl rings as Aaron
Like-
Rodgers. He better get some fucking respect.
Amari Rogers is out down there hanging out in Clemson with the Dabo Sweeney and shit.
Like, don't get me
Was.
wrong. Like the guy helps the Packers, yes, and
Helps
they
them.
got great. They got all the right tools, but this is practice. This is how we get better. This is how you learn to get ready for your season. Oh, so why are you going to sit there and criticize like, oh, they're dropping?
Gene, do you
So
think he doesn't
look-
have the psychological part of this fucking down to a T at this point? Like, you know that he does, right? Like, he has his shit down to a T. He knows he can fucking poke fun of those motherfuckers, so he can go to him later and go, "Hey, I told you you could be a dog." You know what I'm saying? Like I called you out so that you could be a dog, right? That's what he does, bro. That's what he's been doing the whole time. That's why he rubs people the wrong way, is because he is fucking super smart. He's actually super smart. He's snobby about being super smart, and he's pretentious. That's a thing. He's very like, that's part of that Deshaun Watson syndrome that we were talking about earlier. Like, it's not saying that he is Deshaun Watson, obviously, but I am saying that, like, so many people have told this dude his entire life now, his entire adult life now, have been being like, bro, you're really fucking good. And like, eventually, if everybody just walked around, like everybody that you knew, dude, like, I mean, Gene, I'm sure that actually probably happens to you, but like everybody that you knew just like walks around and he just goes, "Hey, bro, you're fucking awesome. Like, you're fucking like," and they meant it. You're going to start believing that you're awesome. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not any part of his fault, I don't think. Like, I don't think he's got the psychological part of this down, and he has the hands of his 1,000 ancestors.
Well, yeah.
Here's
Go
my
ahead,
thing.
Sam.
You can't, so let's put it like this. So, Gene, I'm going to ask you this one, Mr. Pinfall. Let's say tail end of Wayne Gretzky's career.
Mm-hmm.
He was, he's playing. They're getting ready for the season, trying to get things set up. Gretzky's getting.
Don't make a Wayne Gretzky, Aaron Rodgers fucking compression right now. That's not even.
Oh, I can. I'm
gonna let him talk. I'll let him make his point.
And Gretz says, "No, these young guys, man, they're just they got to work on their speed going blue line to blue line. They're not getting to the crease when they need to, and just rips the entire first line apart that's going to be starting with him."
Okay.
How do you think that goes?
It goes great for Michael Jordan.
Let's put it to you this way. When Wayne Gretzky has done that in Edmonton, he did it in Edmonton when he was starting off, and it was Mark Messier that pretty much told him, "Well, if you keep talking like that, I won't be your enforcer." And it was not very long after Edmonton wins the Stanley Cup that Mark Messier stays in Edmonton, and it was Gretzky that traded over into LA. And then when Gretzky goes to LA and starts trying to pull the same thing, didn't many people fucking knock his ass onto the ice, and then he starts asking his coach, "Well, why isn't nobody fucking protecting me?"
That right there. But that's, I mean, like, but
mouth.
And that's the GOAT. And that's the GOAT though. But that's the GOAT. But like, how'd it work out for Kobe? How'd it work out for Michael Jordan? Those guys did that all the time.
Yeah,
how'd it work? Peyton Manning did it all the time.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like you look at a guy,
how
like,
you
for
do
example.
I think how you do it, and I think an established relationship is important.
Jordan did it in practice, not in front of cameras. He did it in practice, and he would pick out a guy like.
Yeah, did he do it? Did Jordan ever do it in interviews?
No. Look at Kirk. He fucking practice. hated on him and fucking hounded the fuck out of him. But now look at him, and he's the head coach of fucking Golden State Warriors, and he's got extra fucking rings on top of the rings that he was with Michael. So,
right. But like,
you know what I mean?
and so you're like, I think you're saying like it's how you go about it, and like I don't, and yes, I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is, guys. I don't want this to be mistaken. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going about this the correct way.
No,
I don't think that he's going about this correct way. Obviously, the guy has more than what 2 Super Bowl talent.
That's right.
Okay, so he's obviously not going about it the correct way, but this is the only way he knows how to do it. And like, he's also got cameras in his face, dude, way more than fucking Jordan did, and way more than anybody. Like, those were like scheduled interviews where like Jordan was like, "Oh, okay, cupcake questions." They were like, "Yeah, cupcake questions," and like he could just, you know, like Rodgers is getting asked about this shit every fucking day. He's probably annoyed at some point. Like he's been doing this for so long. He's gotta be.
I mean, honestly,
and he's like, "Yeah, honestly, I'm fucking pissed off at my receivers today. Like, honestly, I fucking hate all of them. Like, I wish, I wish Alan Lazard would go away. Like, but like."
Ooh, wow, Serbia. We have somebody watching from Serbia. That's fantastic.
That is awesome. Your friendly neighborhood stoner.
Amazing name, by the way.
Me too. Me too.
What's up, Will?
But
Sammy Watkins is terrible.
But here's the thing, and I agree with you. Yeah, you get irritated and, you know, cameras in your face. It's how you go about. It's the mentality. Yes, I agree with him. He's probably pissed off. You know, he didn't have a great practice, so he's taking some shit out. I bet the guys know that, and they're looking at that and going, you know, yeah, we could do better, but blah blah blah. Was it a smart thing to do? No. And it will come back to bite him in the butt, you know, in the season somewhere. Somebody's just going to be like, well, hey, you know, I'm just going to not protect him. You know, he gets his ass sacked. And then
I don't think that'll happen. I don't think that'll happen. I think they all kind of look up to him a little bit.
Yeah, but it's that same type of mentality. It's just, you got to, you know, I get it. Sometimes we forget that there's a filter between brain and mouth, and sometimes it dissolves. And when you're not feeling well and you're already pissed off, you got the camera shoved in your face, you blurt out whatever.
From a guy who's been trying to retire for like 4 years.
We talked about this, Will. Like I was glad to finally get him. I don't like that he avoids me. Like I know I'm creepy, but like I just want to fondle his balls a little. Like that's not too much to ask.
I was basically hitting on him earlier. So I mean, I was basically telling him he's my type of man. So I don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
For me, creepy. With this, like, you know, and especially in somebody that's in a position like Aaron Rodgers, I'm not saying that when you get into the locker room and the cameras are gone, you don't put your fist through a fucking wall and raise hell at those guys.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what that locker room is for. Teams expect that shit's going to get wrecked in the locker room after a hard practice, after a hard loss, because guys are going to be pissed. Because when you're a professional athlete, that emotion, that energy, it is 100% anytime you are at that practice facility or you are in that stadium.
Yep.
But when you make those statements to the media, that's when it crosses the line. Like, and for me, because like when I saw him on Monday, when I saw the comments on Tuesday, I was like, are you sure that's what you want to say, buddy? But like, I like to watch Shannon Sharp's reactions to stuff like this on Undisputed. Anytime a player says dumb shit like this, the next day I'm watching Undisputed because I know that Shannon Sharp is going to have a take on it. And he's definitely one of those guys that's about keep it in house. Don't be going to the cameras about me.
You have to. I agree. Yeah.
And that's why it's hard for me because it's like Sammy Watkins is a Super Bowl winning receiver. The Chiefs do not win the Super Bowl without the work that Sammy Watkins does. I'm not saying that Sammy Watkins is my favorite receiver, but if there is anybody that deserves respect on that receiving core, it's Sammy Watkins. And Alan Lazard, I'm not saying, again, not the best.
I know, but
if he wants to try and convince people that he's seeing this enlightenment and he's a different guy, you know, and his girlfriend Blue Earth is having a positive change in his life. And you know, instead of being an asshole, he looks like he was a stunt double in Con Air.
I feel like we're making like a huge deal out of the fact that he just like was pissed and called out his receiving core.
He threw them under the bus. And it wasn't even necessary. You just say, you know what? We had a rough practice. We were out of sync today. Yeah. We'll get better tomorrow. There were so many better ways you can approach that.
There is truly, like, are we making a big deal out of a nothing, making a mountain out of a molehill? You could say that, but at the same token, he had other options to what to say.
And I think what it comes down to is it's a microcosm of his entire career.
Yeah,
that's how his entire career went. These jabs, these kind of like, Aaron's not agreeable, Aaron's not this, Aaron's not that, come from these type of things. And I understand that, guys. I 100% understand that. But what I am saying is, like, greatest thrower of the football of all time.
Yeah.
Greatest thrower of the football of all time. Go, if anybody actually wants to fucking argue with me about that, go watch fucking a YouTube video of Aaron Rodgers, just his Hail Marys. You don't even have to watch the dimes that he throws on a regular basis. Go watch the Hail Marys that go like 78 yards in the air, like literally upwards, and come down like 67 yards later. Like, they're ridiculous. Like, he looks like
that throw against
an
Detroit.
accountant. Looks like an accountant.
That throw against Detroit is a prime example. That Hail Mary against Detroit. Just that was up there. Like, that ball was legitimately high enough that it could have started hitting the rafters if it went any higher.
It went like 67 yards, and it went higher in the air than it went long. So he cocked that thing back. His hand almost hits the ground. And he looks like your accountant, bro. He looks like he's never done a curl in his life. And like, that's just knowing how to throw a foot. Like, he just figured out like how to throw it. Like, that's all it is. Like, it's just technique 100%. And anyway, greatest thrower of the football of all time. Like, I don't think that's actually even like considerable. Who was it the other day? Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb said that there's a quote from Randall Cobb that said, I've been with Mahomes as a quarterback, and I've been with Aaron Rodgers. And he said, arm talent. He goes, Mahomes is amazing. He goes, but A-Rod's on a whole different planet.
He is.
He actually said that.
And that's the thing is, his arm is ridiculous. And the comps with Mahomes and Favre are interesting because there are some similarities.
A lot of them.
There are a lot of similarities. Like, they're
gunslingers.
Yes, that they are gunslingers, and yes, there is so much to Aaron Rodgers' arm that he does not always get credit for.
Oh yeah,
he's also not a gunslinger though either, in mentality.
But at the same time, what Patrick lacks up for in pure power, he makes up for in speed and accuracy.
That's right.
Bro, I mean, Brett Favre could run earlier in his career. Brett Favre could run a little bit. I mean, he at Southern Miss, like he was kind of like a dual option quarterback. He passed and like ran.
Well, okay, and if I said Brett Favre, I meant Aaron Rodgers. I apologize.
Yeah,
I am, but like, because like there's been a lot of comps between Mahomes and Rodgers.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm sorry.
The difference really between the two is where Aaron is more about that raw power. Patrick is more about speed, and
accuracy,
efficiency, and stuff like that. Because he goes more for the crazy plays. Like, and I think with each generation, it kind of steps up a little bit for those out of the box things. Yeah. Because is Rodgers talented enough to do the no look? Or the left-handed pass, stuff like that. I'm sure if he wanted to, he would. He could. Right. But there's.
I think it's also to the mentality of both guys. You get a Patrick Mahomes who's all about making that accurate pass, and regardless of you could throw a Hail Mary every once in a while, but he wants to get the team to that next position where Aaron's like, hey, I'm out here and I know where my arm's at, so I'll make that Hail Mary. And as long as I got good wide receivers, and as long as they can run and they can get open, I'm going to throw.
Well, he will throw it away before he breaks down a play. Patrick Mahomes will break down a play before he throws it.
That's right.
That's the biggest difference.
That's the biggest. Yes. And Pat tries to, like, my adopted son, tries to Patrick, I'm Mr. Pinfall. I am 464th in line to adopt Patrick Mahomes. If his father Pat Sr. ever would like to disown him, I am right there. I'm 464, so I'm right in line. But he's actually he's only 6 years younger than me, so it might be a little bit weird. But it's a little bit just no. But like Pat tries to like push the envelope on every single play. he's trying to make the big play all the time, where Aaron's like, that's the gunslinger mentality, right? So like, that's what Brett Favre was trying to do. That's why they throw so many picks, is because they're trying to fit it in spaces that they know they can get it into. But like, if they're even a little bit off, that little bit of a titch finger, it's fucking tipped and it's fucking picked off. That's the thing. Yeah. Aaron's almost the opposite of that. Aaron Rodgers threw what they call clocks. He throws more balls out of bounds than like literally almost every single other quarterback combined in the NFL.
Yeah.
He'll just take it and go like this. He'll just go, this play's fucked, and wing it out of bounds. And people are like, what the fuck? Why didn't he? It's because he knows there's nothing better that can happen out of that. He just wants to take 2nd and 10. He's like, all right, 2nd and 10. We'll just restart it. You know, I'm not getting sacked. I'm not trying to make a fucking like across my body 3/4 fall into the ground. Patrick Mahomes. I'm parallel with the ground, fucking throwing it under my leg and shit. Like he's just not gonna do it. Like he's like, no, that's not a good outcome. Eventually, like eventually I get picked.
And he's, I give Aaron this. He's almost like in that he's looking ahead in his career, where he's like, I don't want to be like 90 and be like in a wheelchair because I threw a play that made my body like fucking distorted, like
because he's smart.
Yeah,
because he's smart and enlightened. He had the hand of 1,000 relatives.
Okay. All right. So we are just shy of 2 hours. So I think it's probably a good idea to wrap it up. I'm sweating my balls off here, and it's just, it's hot.
In Arizona, it's hot? No way.
I know. Big shocker, right? So before we wrap up, we'll do final thoughts. Mr. Pinfall, thank you so much for joining us and spending so much time with us tonight, man. It's so good. Buddy. I love it when I get to work with you, buddy. Any final thoughts this evening?
Just hopefully with Deshaun Wilson that we were just talking about, and also Rodgers for me just gotta play it smart, and Deshaun Wilson, if he wants a Hall of Fame career, he's got to choose out of the 4 million paths that are in front of him. You only have one.
Can we just start calling him Deshaun Wilson? By the way. We're gonna start calling him Deshaun Wilson.
Yeah, that's like his last name is no longer Watson. Kobe had to change his number to get past his rape accusation. Wilson. Maybe Deshaun Watson changes his last name to Wilson.
He had to times his number by 3. Yeah, times his number by 3. So we gotta make it Watson. That's
see what he's got to do. So he had 24 accusations. So he's got to change his number. He's gonna be the only quarterback with a number that high and go to 24.
He's gonna have a running back number. He's gonna have a corner number because they can do that now. Like. Did you that quote? This is hilarious, dude. Like Tom Brady was fucking pissed when they made that rule that wide receivers can be number 5 and shit. Did you hear about this?
Why?
He was.
I don't understand that.
Seven, because Tom Brady is the greatest fucking living American, and he's a brilliant fucking football mind. Okay. So, he listen, and like it makes sense. It makes total sense. He goes, how in the fuck? He goes, so you're gonna make cornerbacks, wide receivers, and running backs can all be, he goes, single numbers now. He goes, how the fuck do I tell the difference between anybody when I'm looking down the field? How do I, he goes, I don't know where anybody's at. He goes, I don't know if it's my corner, my wide receiver. He goes, it used to be 17 and 81 are wide receivers and the other ones are all in the 20s. He's like, now it can be 5 versus 5 or 1 versus 1. He's like, I have no idea what the fuck. He's like, if I'm looking at numbers, he's like, sometimes I have to look at numbers when I'm throwing out routes and stuff. He goes, I don't know who's who. He goes, I'll look at outside linebackers. It's a really good point, dude. He's like, he's watching numbers. Like he's seeing like 51 and shit.
Maybe look for the color helmet and jersey that your team is wearing.
Kevin, I would love for you to say that in front of fucking Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. I would love for you to just go, well, maybe just pick it out because it's easy. Because it's an NFL quarterback.
As a fan, when I look at that and I see, I can understand, like, if they were all wearing the same thing. Both sides are wearing the same thing. Same helmets, same jerseys. So you have to know the numbers to know who you're supposed to throw to.
The colors,
yeah. I will give you that. But like, if the Bucks are playing the Chargers, and the Bucks are at home, they're in the gray and red, the red with the gray and the black and all that. The Chargers are in white shirts, white helmets, white, blue pants. How is it hard to know which one's your player and which one's the opponent?
Substitution-wise as well, it's very helpful to have the numbers. You know how many players you have on the field. A quarterback has to know how many players, wide receivers. He has to qualify everyone. They all have to check in as on the line, off the line. That's all stuff too, dude. He's literally talking about just like mixing up. he doesn't want to see the same number on a fucking corner who is defending a wide receiver. Like, he doesn't want to see the same number or even have that in his fucking nomenclature before the fucking play. Like, that doesn't need to be a thing, is basically what he's saying. Like, he's saying it for like sub ends, for tracking players. Like, here, I'll look the quote up so I don't misquote.
Yeah, no. I get all what he's saying, and I get what he's saying, but honestly, like, even in basketball, how many times would you see a number 23 versus a number 23, or how many times you see it?
In basketball doesn't matter, bro, because you're not doing like basketball. Like,
there's still
football is more checkers,
where it's like that you got to make, and it's uniform. You can still pick out the person via uniform.
Okay, so he says, literally, guys changed their numbers today. I'm playing two guys who had different numbers in the preseason. So, yeah, you've got to watch film and know who you've been studying, but so do running backs. They've got to know who to block. So does the offensive line. So do the receivers, and adjusting their routes on blitzes. So he's literally talking about, like, he doesn't know, like, how – they're just like all, like, number 6 now and shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's talking about assignments.
All right, I guess I can see what you're saying. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
Okay, that made sense. But at the same time, too, like, for assignments, yes, but it's like, dude, you're not going to have the quarterback be number 5 and your running back still coming out number 5. You know what I mean? Like,
but they could be number 6. Like, they could be number 5 and 6, and then a corner could be number 7, and then a wide receiver could be number 8, 9, and 3. Yeah. And like, it just like mixes everything up. Like, oh, we got to guard 3, but there's a 3 there, the 4. And like, there's no like 51, like 51 is a linebacker number. Everybody knows that. Bam. You got to guard 51. Like, pick up 51 on the blitz. 51. That's a linebacker, right? Pick up 93. That's a defensive end. He's saying that, like, there's no discrepancy now. Like, it's like, hey, pick up 6. Like, where the fuck is 6 at? Is he just roaming around? Like, you know, what is 6? There's a quarterback on defense? Like, that's all he's saying is, like, assignment wise, watching.
I get it.
That I understand. Okay, that makes you see, and that's why I'm asking though, because I didn't understand where the issue was with that. Like, it's just a number. Like, it's jerseys and jerseys. Like, who gives a shit?
Right,
but
right.
I get what you're saying though. That does make sense.
Basically, with grouping them into personnel. Like, you're grouping the numbers into the personnel, like with the linebackers or defensive ends, right? You're making it apparent that is a linebacker. So like, it's quicker to like pick up signals and like say, hey, pick up 51, shit like that. That's basically what he's saying. It is nitpicky, but
I think over time, because he comes from that old school, mentality in college and whatnot. Certain numbers were, blah, 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 designated in certain areas. I think over time he'll get used to it, just because it's going to be like, okay, if we stop taking the number as the designation to what the person plays, and just be like, okay, that linebacker could be 5 or whatever,
or just change it to your gap numbers. What is what it would be, so you got 0 gap as to the outside of the center, and obviously there's 2 and 4 to the right, there's 1 and 3 to the left, all that shit. So just basically say like, hey, running back pick up 7, and that'll literally just be the left side all the way to the outside. Like, that's, like, so you're just doing zones at that point instead of like, hey, players, and then say 7-6, number 6, Micah Parsons, whatever, shit like that. Like, you just got to change the terminology. He was mad about changing the terminology because all the guys just changed their numbers, and he had like everything written down and shit. He was like, God damn it, I got to write this fucking notebook again.
He has like a notebook on every team.
It's like Micah Parsons came out as 56 originally. He's like, now he's got to change me to 11. He's like, I got to change me to 11 all my calls.
He's going back into his playbook going, with the eraser going, God damn it.
That's just those guys who are just mad about shit that like nobody else knows about. Like, nobody else knows that he keeps those notebooks.
He just completely fucked up Tom Brady's system, and nobody realized it until after.
Right, and then he comes off an asshole. He's like, you can't do zeros here. And they're like, what are you talking about, Tom? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, oh, in my notebooks. You just see his notebook, and it's all binary, just zeros and ones, like all the way through the pages, little tiny little fucking numbers. And you're like, oh boy, this has gotten deeper than we thought.
Well, I mean, he is a robot, so that
he's
would
the greatest living American.
All zeros. Okay, Dan, any final thoughts, buddy?
No, I think I'm good. I don't. I want Mr. Pinfall's dick of the week.
If I have to pick one right now,
the month.
Hold on. I'll give you a brief second. Where did it? Oh shit, we don't have it. Josie still hasn't put the dick of the week in here. Okay, we have to fix that. Okay,
imagine that.
out of everything we talked about, I have to say we're going to give it to Aaron, good old Rodgers.
From Deshaun Watson, huh?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding, dude.
Yeah,
I'm just messing with
you. we could, but no.
He's just pretty much the one all the time. That's like he just stays in that rotationary position, and we just everyone else just fills in at
Dick.
He's
the universal,
Yeah,
he is the universal Dick.
Yeah.
Speaking of dicks, Aaron Rodgers apparently biggest dick in the history of the NFL. Not a joke. Absolutely a thing. So if that adds to your
still wasn't enough to keep Danica Patrick, arguably the hottest woman to ever drive a car.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. 70. Oh, you mean like drive a car competitively? Because
yeah, I get you're right.
Clearly, other women have
that.
Hotter women have driven cars. I know what you're saying.
Professionally.
So what's really funny? So because she's from Arizona, and I was looking at the news one day, and this is while she was back when she was racing and stuff. She got a ticket for doing 114 miles an hour on a freeway here. There's in Phoenix, there's this, we call it the Loop 101. It's an inner city freeway that goes around the entire city.
Did we lose 7? Yes. Sometimes.
What, did you guys lose me?
We lost you for a sec. You didn't? Okay. I just lost you for a second.
I didn't realize there was any issue. So there's this inner city freeway in Phoenix called the 101. And the locals affectionately call the HOV lane of this freeway, the carpool lane, if you will, because you can use it like during rush hour. You can use it if you're carpooling or if you have a like hybrid or electric vehicle,
or if you're a dick,
or if you want to drive by yourself and get a $500 ticket because it is not cheap. We call that lane the suicide lane because you could be in because it's 4 lanes plus the HOV or 3 lanes plus the HOV. So you're 3 to 4 plus the HOV in some areas. Mm-hmm. And so you could be in the far right lane or far left lane doing, the speed limit on is 75. So you're doing down here, you can go 10 over without getting a ticket. So doing an 85 and there's people in the HOV booking past doing 100.
Love it.
It is a common occurrence. The first time I went 100 miles per hour was on that freeway.
Interesting,
but it was also 1:00 in the morning and I had gotten done working a show at the arena that's right next to the stadium where the Cardinals play, and I wanted to get home, and I was taking a bunch of people home, and I was like, all right, let's go. And I just floored it in my mom's little Chevy Aveo. I didn't even know it could go over 100 miles.
I was going to say, I don't think Mr. Pinfall, what type of surface were you on the first time you went 100 miles an hour in a vehicle?
I can honestly say that here in Canada, all our highways are 110, and that's in kilometers per hour. So they're all 110.
65 kilometers an hour. That's like 65 miles an hour, right?
No,
I was
70. It's like just
shy of 70.
Yeah, 6/10. It's like 6/10 of kilometers is like 6/10 of miles, or miles per hour is like 6/10 of roughly. I think but yeah, so like 60, like 68, like 70. But that's interstate.
1.609 kilometers equals a mile.
Figure out what 100 miles per hour is in kilometers per hour. I think it's around 180. So when's the first time you went 180 kilometers an hour in a vehicle? Have you ever went 180 kilometers an hour in a vehicle?
We've hit,
clearly
have hit that.
But it's like 161 basically.
Okay, so
161K. But yeah, she got a ticket for it was 114 miles, so probably like 180K.
Yeah.
She got caught by Phoenix PD. And they gave her the ticket and she drove home. Any of us get pulled over driving that fast, we're going to jail because that's criminal speeding. We don't get to drive our car home. A tow truck takes it to a lot and you never see it again.
Kudos to those cops for just knowing. They were like, yeah, I'm sure she's good. They're like, yeah, I think that she's probably fine doing 114. She goes 200 on a regular basis. So I think that's probably feels like 35 miles an hour. Like it actually says in the report, it's like she told us that she thought she was going 38. So we don't really know. what? Like she was, we thought she was joking at first, and then we realized she wasn't joking, and so we just let her
saw
go.
her license. We go, oh shit.
Yeah, we're like, oh shit, that's why. They like had to go back to the car and like convene about it. They were like, we'll be right back. God, this is fucking weird, right? we don't pull over.
Yeah, they're on the computer there for a little bit. Oh god damn, she was just at a race, you know. And...
she probably thinks she's going 35. Mr. Pinfall, I actually went 161 kilometers per hour on a gravel road.
That probably was.
How many gravel roads do you have? Yeah, I was not driving, so that's automatically not the funnest thing.
Yeah,
no,
I would 5 people, gravel road, hilly gravel road. In a like 96 Ford Taurus, and the dude driving was hammered drunk. I mean, so hammered he's laughing, like turning around looking at us and shit while he's going 110 miles an hour on a gravel road. I'm hammered, so I'm having a great
That's
time.
why the life expectancy in America is a lot less, or in the United States is a lot less than it is up in Canada. Bro. Is because most, like in the Midwest, there's very little to do.
So we would literally drink
they just do dumb shit like donuts in cornfields, 4-story bonfires,
cow tipping,
110 miles an hour on gravel roads. Like no, bull riding is another prime example of a bunch of dumb rednecks who got bored.
Yeah.
The first time I cow tipped, it was actually buffalo tipping. I went and tried to hit a buffalo, and I almost separated my shoulder, and it didn't go anywhere.
That's
swear to God, it didn't move. It was fast asleep, didn't move.
You didn't hear the
bro. I hit this thing as hard as I could, like full, dude. And I'm a good dude. I'm like a really good. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I should tell the story. Like I was like a really good football player. Keep going. Super fast. Like I'm super fast, and like I thought I was gonna like knock this thing over, but I thought I was gonna like tackle this thing. This motherfucker didn't even move, dude. I almost separated my shoulder, bro. I fell right underneath it. Like I just bounced off of it, and I thought for sure the fucking thing was gonna wake up. I was like, I hit it hard enough to wake up. Fucking thing didn't even wake up, dude. So it didn't even move.
Did you 3-point stance it? You know, get the fucking.
No, I sprinted at it from like 30 yards away, dude. I got a sprinting start. I literally, because we had to go over like it was like a 3-level fence, right? It's just like bars. You know, like climb it real fast, like it's like 7 feet high. So I had to like climb the fence, jump down, and then run as fast as I could at this buffalo. We knew it was sleeping because we were like yelling at it and shit for like a while. Like yelled at it, make sure it was asleep. And like it just didn't move. And I was like, I'm gonna go fucking knock it over, dude. And they were like, all right.
I'm just thinking of the story and be like, you know, hey Mr. Buffalo, are you still awake?
We were probably just like,
this sounds like a Family Guy cutaway.
Trying to make fucking
cow tipping. Hey, Mr. Buffalo,
hey,
Mr. Awake?
Hey, Mr. Buffalo.
Oh, hey. Great.
Just like walking up to
in there. It's like
solid. It felt like I was like hitting like, you know, like one of those padded walls in wrestling, like a padded wall with the cement behind it. That's what it felt like. Like I just like went into it. I thought I separated my shoulder, dude. I hit it so hard, and like I hit it like right below the right back leg. Didn't even move its foot over. And I was like, yeah, they're just so heavy. Like it had to. I mean, I don't know how much fucking buffalo weighs. It got to weigh like 2,000 pounds. Oh. Like it's basically like running into a car, just like running into a car with meat on it. It's basically that's basically all I did. It's pointless. Doesn't work. Yeah. Even with cows, I don't think it works. Never tried a cow though.
So my final thought, I'll do my dick of the week. Tony La Russa's grabbing it again. They played the Astros today, and I'm surprised that Josie didn't bring it up when she was here. The Astros beat the White Sox 21-5 today. There was not a single White Sox pitcher that gave up less than 4 runs.
7, do you know why Josie didn't bring it up? Because she doesn't know.
No.
That's probably.
She didn't know that it happened.
Yeah, so she did work a 12-hour day, so I'll give her that one.
Well, also, just she wouldn't have known like otherwise. Like, come on.
And before we get out of here, I'm just going to say, you know, let's look back. The Toronto Blue Jays gave the Toronto Maple Leafs a discerning factor on how to beat Detroit. Just remember the game where they had like 28 runs to like 5, and it's you know, the old meme. It's like whacking the kid upside the head. Now that's how you beat somebody.
Are you a Blue Jays fan?
I am a Blue Jays fan. I am a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and I'm a Toronto Raptors fan.
Dude, Carlos Delgado is my favorite Major League Baseball player of all time. Carlos
the Blue
Delgado.
Jays have a great squad.
Yeah.
They always do.
I mean, the Blue Jays are so amazing that Whit Merrifield is getting the vaccine to be able to go play for him.
Yeah.
And he had a pretty cush job in Phoenix. He just has to show up because that's all that matters when you play
Kansas City.
Royals.
In Kansas City, yeah. In Kansas City, they literally just be like, "Hey, Whit, you hanging in there?" And he was like, "Yeah, hanging in there." He's like, "They're like, how many rebuilds you been through?" He's like, 6. And they're like, "Have they actually rebuilt anything?" No. They just keep going through the construction. It's just all construction. I just walk through construction every day, and they're like, "Whit, we're gonna trade you." And he was like, "Yes, please." That was his entire career in Kansas City. He's so good too. Like he's like, I'm glad he's in Toronto, like somewhere where he's not just going to get buried. Because that dude is that dude's one of the top 5 second basemen in baseball, has been for like the last 10 fucking years. Not a joke. Like he's legitimate. Hits 300 every year.
I would love to see him get a shot at another ring. And so
being in Toronto, it looks like he's got that shot.
He does. And the AL East is competitive as all hell this year. And I'm really interested to see because Boston and Baltimore start a 3-game series tomorrow.
Plus he hits 2 in that lineup, or he hits leadoff and then he hits 2 sometimes.
Yeah, he kind of bounces back and forth.
Must be rough with getting protected by Vlad Jr. Oh man, your life just must be so rough. They definitely don't want to pitch to you. They definitely don't want to pitch to you, Whit Merrifield. Yeah. Like Whit Merrifield's going to see strikes forever. Like as long as he stays in that right before Vlad Jr. area, he's good.
But that's the thing though. Like again, it's about the numbers, it's about the money, and the team got put together in the right way. So,
Teoscar Hernandez, one of my favorite names in baseball. Teoscar. And they have Lourdes Gurriel. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I love that name. That's a good one.
I love it when the guy's name is actually like his first name's Jesus, and then instead of saying Jesus, they say Jesus.
Jesus, yeah. In Spanish, J is ha sound.
Yeah.
So it's So I mean, it is just Jesus though. Like, there's no like American white people or Canadian white people like naming their kid Jesus. You ever notice that? It never doesn't happen. Like it's like his name's Jesus. Like whoa. That would be out of left field, wouldn't it?
Well,
it's sweet.
It's such a common name with in general with the Latin culture. A lot of, especially because, and I think a lot of it comes from how common, and I think that you see this a lot in the French culture as well, with how common Catholicism is. You see a lot of those biblical saint names, but you don't see French naming people the French version of Jesus. I'm sure you haven't seen that up in Canada.
Oh no, right. So a lot of Pierres and
they have a whole I think Latino people have a whole different view of what Catholicism and what Jesus is, just because of how it was brought upon. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just completely different. Like they were, for example, they were like Catholics. It's like a cardinal sin to wear a rosary around your neck. Like it's literally a fucking necklace. It's a necklace. And you can't wear it around your neck because it's like a cardinal sin. But like they just wear it around the neck because they're like, because I want to pray with it. Like it's just very, you know what I'm saying? Like it's very logical.
Yeah,
why would I not? Why would you not name your kid Jesus? For real.
There is. I was honestly an adult before I realized how many different denominations just of Catholicism there was.
Bro,
I did not realize that there was such a huge difference. I thought, because like with Catholicism, you got the Pope, like that's the peak. It's the Pope is the president of the Catholics. That's his job.
Yeah.
President of the Catholics in white hats.
There's Peter and Paul and John's all over the place, right? And you could argue that all 3 of those in Scripture are just as important as Jesus Christ. 100% just as important. Even in Catholicism, that separates it and obviously takes Jesus into a whole.
Paul wrote almost half of the New Testament, if I remember correctly.
You could argue that they're just as important, and in some of those facets, they are like they're prophets. They're they're literally prophets. Right. Like that's so. Right. But people name their kids all the time. It's just Jesus is like the separate one, and that's obviously the whole separation between that and Catholicism and
the Muslim faith, which is basically just it's a branch off of
Judaism.
Judaism, just like Christianity is, and just like Catholicism is. Whereas they believe that Muhammad is the prophet that the Christians and Catholics believe that Jesus was. Well, you also see in the Muslim faith in those Middle Eastern countries, Muhammad is a very common name. It's like the Michael of the Middle East, basically.
Michael's, another one. There's a bunch of them. They're like, it would just be like, but they separate. I mean, obviously they separated Jesus. Like that's what separated those facets of religion. You know what I'm saying? Like that's real. Like that was the belief was that he was the actual son of God or he was just a prophet. And like, that's the difference. Like, cause
I mean, and Jews believe in like, I understand that Jews believe that Muhammad was a prophet as well. I haven't seen a lot on that part of it, so I can't say for certain. But obviously, there's a lot of tenacity. You know, there's a lot of animosity between Jews and the Muslim faith. Anyway,
I think that's the main thing. I think that's the main thing because they're gonna like kind of leave that part out. You know what I'm saying? Because he probably is as important, but they're not gonna like support him as well because the other facets doing that.
The war between Jews and Christians is very, or the war between like Jews and Muslims is still even violent to this day in the Middle East. But the war between Jews and Christians is mainly played out in courts in America fighting over Christmas displays. Like that's
absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And in the movies. And in the movies.
Right. And in the movies.
Right. And it's okay. I mean, it's business. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. Well, it's a pleasure to speak with you tonight, Mr. Pinfall. You are welcome to join us.
Thanks, buddy.
Anytime. No problem. For those of you watching live and catching it after, we are here every Thursday night, 10 Eastern. You can catch me, Dan, and sometimes Mr. Pinfall on the Sports Report Monday nights, 10 Eastern, right here on this channel. If you're seeing it, you will see Sports Report on Monday. Definitely check us out. You can always catch me Sunday nights on this channel doing the winter meetings, talking baseball with my friend Craig Newton and former Yankees starting pitcher Stephen Weaver. Also joins us a lot.
Fernando. Hey, one quick thing, Mr. Pinfall. We tried to like do this on Thursdays now. Like we tried to do the After Dark on Thursdays because we wanted to like cut our time down so we didn't have to do the back-to-back shows, right? Because it was like we were like going until 11:30 or whatever. Like we are doing like
we're still here for 2.5 hours.
Both times now that we've had it on Thursday, gone 2.5 hours. So what are we really doing? Like I feel like we're just
I just get to go to bed a little earlier because like, we're starting this. We're starting this 2 hours earlier than we were. So
and it's going consistently through, so it's not like we're like separate, like stopping and then going again. But at the same time, we're just doing the same fucking thing.
It's the same fucking thing.
Fernando.
But we will make sure that we can get these episodes up onto Spotify. For some reason, they haven't been showing up, but we're going to make sure we get them. And we will see you next week. Thank you all for joining us right here.
Gene Simmons, you flaky fuck.
On the sports,
you heard me, Gene.
Sports Report After Dark.
Not you, Gene.
You guys have a great day, and thank you for supporting us.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.